Happy Monday, degenerates. Welcome on back to the Die Hard MMA podcast. I'm your host, as always, your boy Clint here, breaking down UFC fights once again this week. It is pay-per-view fight week. It is BMF title fight week. It is Dustin Poirier retirement fight week. Bringing it down a level here on that one. That makes me, that hurts me right in the soul just a little bit to announce that one. But we have an absolute banger to send him out on. Couldn't be more grateful to the Diamond and everything he's given us over the last couple of years. But that's what's on the docket today. Everybody, we are breaking down this absolutely spectacular pay-per-view card, top to bottom. Should be a fun one, and I've got a good guest lined up for you as well, so make sure you guys get plugged in. Do me a favor, share this show out there, hit the like button so the algorithm knows that we're going live here, and we'll dig into this bad boy. We've got my man Meta Fight. That's a different name on X than it is anywhere else. I hate when it changes people's usernames. What's up, buddy? Appreciate seeing you there. Dream in the house. We've got Aaron in the house saying it's been a long time since I've been able to catch the show live. I'm pumped to have you here, Aaron. Thank you very much for tuning in. My brother, my man, Dan in the house as well, saying smash that like button. We've got Louis Mack Jr. How we doing? We've got Sam Smuckler in the house. What's going on? He's saying main event is special. Rest of the card is kind of terrible. So here's my thing. I actually think the pay-per-view portion of the card is pretty ass. Okay, I'll agree with you. As far as if you want me to open up my wallet, shell out some bills, pull out some shekels to watch this thing. The pay-per-view portion of the card, not great. Not great. Good fights. Don't get me wrong. I had this debate with somebody online. Good fights, not worth $80. That's all I've got to say. They're absolutely selling us on the main event for this one, but I will say the undercard is pretty spectacular, you guys. Like, we're going to talk about these fights. There's a lot of people that could be on main cards. There's a lot of people that could be co-main eventing, stuff like that. Like, I actually think this is a really fun undercard. It should be violent. It should be exciting. And that's the kind of undercard that I am here for. So zero complaints for me about the undercard. Obviously, the main event is phenomenal. And if we get like one or two really awesome bangers on this main card, hindsight, it's going to look good. And the cards that are lined up on the main card, there's a chance, forecast is 60-70% chance of bangers on UFC 318. So I'm excited for it, you guys. I think it's going to be a good card. I am pretty stoked about it. Cameron Junkin says immaculate vibes. That's what we do here. You guys know that's what we do. What is going on, buddy? Shout out to my guy Razor Sharp Picks. He has just been absolutely incredible, you guys. We're going to get to my boy Razor early this week. I talked to you guys about him last week. He had like a 6-0 underdog day that he did in MLB just a week ago. And like just yesterday, he did the damn thing again. It was like 5 straight picks. I think 3 of the 5 were underdogs. I mean, he's absolutely smashing the dog days of summer. And unless I'm mistaken, he's got a big juicy pick for the home run derby this evening. So guys, I don't suggest people as far as selling picks. I love my guests. Most of them are touts. Most of them sell picks. They're smarter than me. Razor is the guy outside the MMA sphere that I truly 1000% support. Him and my boy Keg, they're the only ones that I'm like, hey, long-term, proven. If you need winners, if you need money in your pocket, if you want to bet something other than MMA, check out my boy. But that'll do it. Let's get into the card, you guys. I've got a phenomenal guest for you. I could not be having a worst year gambling on MMA. I'm your friendly neighborhood degenerate. That's what I do. I'm here. I talk fights. I bet on fights. You're not necessarily supposed to do anything that I say is true, right, or accurate. So I'm having a shit year. But my job on this podcast is not to be the greatest gambler in the world. My job on this podcast is not to be right 100% of the time. My job on this podcast is to entertain you and then bring you the information you need so that you can make good bets, so that you can make better decisions than me. I'm like a grandparent looking down. I just hope you guys make better choices than I do. And so for my job, the biggest thing is bringing on the best gamblers, the smartest gamblers, the hottest gamblers, and also gamblers that are winning, not just ones that are physically attractive. And we check all 4 of those boxes today. My boy James, Lucrative MMA, joining us on the show. What's up, James? How you doing, buddy? You're muted, my friend.
So the wrong microphone was selected. Can you hear me now?
There he is.
All right. Well, I said you're making me
all
blush.
that energy and it was silent.
You're making me blush. You're making me blush, brother, but I appreciate the shout out and I'm very happy to be on with you. It's been a while since we've done one of these. I think I was looking through our DMs. Apparently we did one in April, one that I don't really remember at all because I don't know. I guess I've been putting out so much content that I kind of forgot that I did one with you, but it was for the Paddy Pimblett against... Remember that one? We smashed that card, bro. It was like double-digit unit profit for both of us, I believe. Remember when he...
One of the only cards I profited on.
Yeah, but we're going to turn it around, bro. Like I said, that was a great card for both of us. And this is the next time we're doing one. So it's going to be another great card for both of us. And then we're going to continue the hot streak, and you're going to end up on a hot streak for the second half of the year. With gambling, it's so funny because you can literally be doing so bad for like 2 months and you can erase all that and then earn back triple the amount in the other 2 months, So it's really like, it is so over. We are so back. And that's what we need to do this weekend, Clint. This is a great card, UFC 218. Few people have been moaning about it. I heard your intro. I never moan about UFC fights. Very, very rare that you're going to hear me moan about a fight. I think maybe you cannot even find me moaning about a fight card before the fight card on the internet. I don't think I've ever done it. I will say that next week's card is looking like a banger. I've taped a couple of fights already for next week's card. And I would say it could even be better than this week's card. And it is a pay-per-view. So I understand some annoyance from the fan base. But, bro, we got Max Holloway versus Dustin Poirier. We got a max bet locked in already. We got a chance to make money. Like, we got Kevin Holland, Big Mouth on the card. Like, don't piss me off. I'm ready to go, brother. Let's absolutely go, man.
I love it, man. No, this is a really fun card, dude. I completely agree with you. And I'm an always fights type of person, right? If you sit me down on a Saturday and it's, hey, we can have a shitty trash card like Nashville, or we can have nothing, or you can have no fights this week. And what are you picking? I'll take the bad card every single week. So no complaints here, buddy. Real quick before we get the ball rolling, guys, I did do a recap of UFC Nashville. I tried to do a little bit of a fun thing on that, a little bit more entertainment value for you guys. Quick little show recap for it. So make sure you check that out on the channel here. But James, how did you do last week on the card? How'd you do at Nashville?
Yeah, so last week was destroying the card up on the prelims, and then I kind of got destroyed on the main card. So it ended up being my first losing week in like a few months. So it was kind of bittersweet because I thought it was going to be a massive event, but then I ended up losing 2.7 units. So it's only a small loss. It's fine. Because I've been winning so much this year, like the loss is easy to take, but it was kind of annoying because I would have profited about 4 units on the card if Wonderboy had got the decision, because I bet on Stephen Wonderboy at plus 340, and then I also bet on him at plus 400. So I don't know how you thought about that fight, but I thought it was a pretty clear Wonderboy decision. What about yourself?
I agree with you. I actually did quite a bit of live betting last week, and I was going to get in the green if Wonderboy got the decision, man. I got plus 650 live, and I thought it was very clearly 1-1 going into round 3. They always tell us that, grading criteria is damage over control, and the only one who did any damage at all in round 3. James, it's funny. I always seem to be on the wrong side of that, right? Where if someone gets blanket control for a round and I'm the one who bet the grappler, I don't get that decision. They argue that the 4 or 5 pitter-patter punches was enough to swing the round, but then when I'm the guy that needs, the 4 or 5 punches to make the difference, it goes to the control guy. I just can't ever seem to get those split decisions. I truly feel like they robbed Wonderboy Thompson. And Bonfim once again has another questionable fight on his record for being this super prospect at 18-1, 18-1 for his record. And how do you rob Wonderboy in that spot? Like, I know the UFC machine wants the young hype prospect to get their hand raised, but how do you rob Wonderboy in that spot? He did everything, man. He did what he had to. He should have got the decision.
Yeah, and I spoke about on my podcast, like Wonderboy is the type of guy that you don't like to see lose, even if you bet against him, and obviously I bet on him, so it's even worse, especially when you fade a minus 400, it's like you deserve that decision. And I feel you about the blanket control, it goes back to the Kanaev fight where I thought Kanaev won, I bet on Kanaev, and he lost, I thought he'd done more damage there. And then the week before that, it was Kamedov versus Magomedov. I don't know if you remember that one in the PFL. And then this time I bet the control guy, but then they gave it to the damaged guy, Magomedov, because Magomedov just controlled him for the whole fight. All three were underdogs. So it's tough. Like, if I lose a split decision on a favorite, I don't moan that much. But if I lose a split decision on an underdog, then it pisses me off, you know. But the good thing about MMA, bro, is that every single week we get to go again, you know. So no matter how bad you did the previous week, it can all be erased. And you know how momentum works, Clint. I always say to all the gamblers out there, don't get disheartened if you're on a losing streak, because literally the gambling gods are going to put you through losing streaks, winning streaks, and neutral streaks. You cannot avoid it. Doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter if you're Billy Waters. Doesn't matter if you're the biggest gambler in the world, right? You're going to go through these streaks, which means there's a winning streak coming up for all of us. So let's fucking go, boys. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Let's make this UFC event the start of a big winning streak for all of us. And I got many takes to hopefully help you do that.
Absolutely, buddy. I can't wait to get on into it. And shout out Brad tuning in from Twitter. Says, am I losing this or is this Max versus Dustin 3? You're correct, Brad. Typo on my part. I put 2 in there. That's my bad. I'll edit the title of the video once I get done with this live stream. I can't change it while we're live. So you're correct. It is Max versus Dustin 3, not Max versus Dustin 2. We will get that corrected. MMA Upside, what's up, buddy? Said, sorry I'm late. Connor's penis was chasing me. And I feel you, MMA Upside. I was lifting weights, so we're good to go. We're ready to go for the show. If you know, you know. Let's get into it. First fight of the night. Carli Judice takes on Nicolle Caliari, women's MMA. As usual, seems to be a theme. Kicking off these cards here recently, man. Couple of young, up-and-come prospects here for this one. And I got to tell you, I really like Crispy, man. Carli Judice is really, really interesting here to me. She got into the UFC extremely early. She's just 4-2, 26 years old. And it was the big story her last time out, right? She fought Dubin, and she was a big favorite in that spot. And everybody was like, bro, this undefeated Dubin chick with stupid power coming off Dana White's Contender Series, that was like the public underdog of the week. Everybody wanted a piece of Dubin because why was she the underdog in that spot? Well, we found out real quick why. Crispy got her with the head kick very early in round 1. She's very clean. Her polished striking is something that I am a huge fan of. She keeps a high pace up. She's very light on her feet. She's very tough. She's long, and she doesn't mind the taste of her own blood, man. She gets hit a couple times in the face, and she has no problem coming forward, sticking to her game plan, and doing what she needs to do. She's going to be 4 inches taller here. She'll have a 6-inch reach advantage, which is significant. And she's got 70% takedown defense. Now, again, very small sample size. She doesn't have a lot of MMA fights, period. So that 70% takedown defense will probably get tested. But as of right now, that's a good solid number. Nicolle Caliari is 8-3. She's 28 years old. She's very physical. She's very strong. She's completely jacked. Like, this girl's physicality is next level. Check out her Instagram, you guys. She is built. She's got decent pop on her punches. She's got a real crispy right hand. She likes to bully her way into takedowns. She's got really quick hips. We saw her snatch an armbar on Dana White's Contender Series, and she was real quick to get into position with that one. And you can tell once she got it, she wasn't letting go of it. The strength was a big, big deal. Her cardio is a bit of a question mark. With all that muscle, you can slow down. With all that grappling, the pace, you can slow down. And I feel like she's a bit undersized. She seems like she's just a little bit too small for me here at this weight class. Just for, the UFC, they don't have atom weight, that kind of thing. Man, she is this close, James, to the number 1 betting angle in MMA today. The Brazilian lesbian with the neck tattoo. She is Brazilian. Now, I got to ask you guys, all evidence to the contrary. I don't think she checks the lesbian box, but she has a tattoo behind the ear, James. And it comes kind of down in this general region. Does that count? Does it count as a neck tattoo? Or does it have to be like across, they don't have Adam's apples, obviously, but like right across the front of the neck? We've got to clarify the angle here. She's not a lesbian, so she doesn't count, but she's close. We've got Crispy, man. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I know the angle and I have a take on it, but I'll let you finish before I give my take.
Okay, I like it. I like it. Carli Judice is about a minus 280 favorite right now, so she's big chalk yet again. Plus 225 on Nicolle Caliari. And man, I got to tell you, I think this is a favorite or pass position here for me on this one. I like both these girls, but I like what I've seen so far from Crispy a little bit more just with her striking. And I feel like that counter grappling style is something that's very effective today. If you can keep the fight standing and force these grapplers to hang out with you on the feet, it just seems to work. And I think that's something that she's shown she's at least getting started to be proficient in. We'll see if she can handle the bullying power. We'll see if she can handle the strength. But I've got a feeling Crispy can keep this thing at distance. It's too big of a number for a 6-fight professional, in my opinion. So I've got a hard time actually getting to the window at minus 280. But I am going to pick Carli Judice to go ahead and win this fight again.
Yeah. So let's talk about the neck tattoo. This is the most important thing of the fight, right? Because we can speak
about
what
the people are here for.
Yeah, man, we can speak about the stylistics, but at the end of the day, there's more important things, right? Like the intangibles and like the tattoos. And I'll tell you now, this is my take on it. If you've been around the world and seen all different types of women in different countries, you will know that a lot of pretty women, a lot of feminine women will have tattoos behind their ear, right? Small tattoos. Maybe a little butterfly. Maybe they like to adventure in Thailand, maybe an elephant to represent Thailand, maybe a yin and yang, the marble, maybe something like that, a little one behind the ear. I don't think these girls are very violent. I don't think these girls are really aggressive or attacking anybody. Now, if you see a chick and she's got a tattoo on the front of her throat, it's a different story, That little pretty girl with blonde hair and blue eyes with the yin and yang tattoo around her ear is going to get eaten alive by someone like Denise Gomez. I'll tell you that. So I have a strong take. I do not think behind the ear counts as any type of person you really want to back for that reason anyway. But speaking about her other attributes, she has some good attributes, like she's pretty aggressive, to be honest. She is gritty in and of herself, right? Now, the tattoo thing is separate, but she is actually a gritty chick. I don't think she's a quitter. I don't think she's someone who's just going to go out there and give up on herself if the going gets tough. She had a somewhat tough fight against Karikate, and man, she was swinging in the pocket there, She actually has decent power for her size. She is pretty jacked, like you said, but she has decent power for how small she is. She has decent power considering she's not a striker. She's a grappler first. So I feel like she has decent power. She swings to the body and to the head. But at the end of the day, man, you go and you look at Judice's fight against Gabriela Fernandez, and she should have a neck tattoo. You know what I mean? She's one that should have a throat tattoo. Maybe she doesn't. In my eyes, she does. She fits the bill. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if she comes out and has a neck tattoo. She's Brazilian. I don't know what way she swings. Maybe she swings both ways. Maybe no ways. It's 2025, right? Anything can go down these days. But if you was to say, James, who do you think was going to have a neck tattoo in the next 1 week in the women's MMA division? I'd probably say Gabriela Fernandez. That chick is an absolute marauder, a beast. The only woman to finish Kong Wang, right? And Kong Wang, I think, is a very legit fighter. Especially the way she finished it was on the feet. And if you go back and watch her fight with Judice, who's fighting this weekend, right? Judice is getting cracked, man, with every shot in the book on the head, right? She's getting hit with hooks, straights, overhands, and they're landing on her heavy shots. And man, she kind of just eats them and walks through. Yeah, she was visibly, I'm not going to say rocked or hurt. You may be able to find a better word for it, but it was visible that she was a little bit bothered by the shots. But basically, it was only visible for a half a second, and then she just continued walking through and throwing a lot of volume. In that fight, she landed about 180 strikes, right? It's absolutely insane that you can land so many strikes on someone like Gabriela Fernandez, because the only reason you can land that many strikes is because you're swinging in the pocket with her, basically, right? The significant strike records are set, like Max Holloway and Calvin Kattar, Max Holloway, Dustin Poirier, because they're just swinging in the pocket. She swung in the pocket with someone like Gabriela Fernandez. So I do not think that someone like Nicolle Caliari has anything for her on the feet. So then we speak about the ground game. To be honest, man, Judice seems pretty smart on the ground. She's also young. I expect improvements. I've seen improvements already in her career. The 2 losses she had were very close fights. I don't think she won the Fernandez fight, but I think maybe on a day you could give the 2 fights to her against Karikate and Fernandez. And that's her only 2 losses of her career. And the last thing I want to say is that Judice is training with Rose Namajunas. And I think that's probably one of the best fighters in the world that you can fight and train with, right? Rose Namajunas is an elite fighter. She's a veteran of the sport. She knows all the tricks of the trade. She gets a lot of hate, but she's one of the greatest women fighters that have ever graced the UFC, that have ever graced the planet, right? I think Rose Namajunas deserves a lot more respect than she gets online, but it is what it is. You know, it's the internet era, so people talk a lot of shit. But that's a great training partner to have because, especially for the grappling, you know, Rose is a very smart grappler, right? She times her takedowns very efficiently. She wins a lot of her fights off grappling as well. And she's very smart with the submissions now. You know, we see the Miranda Maverick almost tap her out. She managed to get out and almost tap her out. So I feel like that's a great training partner to have. And I just feel like we're going to see consistent improvements from someone like Carli Judice. So all Judice needs to do is keep the fight on the feet. And I think she goes to work, man. I think she's going to land 150 strikes on her, maybe more. And I think Caliari is going to be hurt at some point in this fight. I don't know whether she's going to finish. Plus 400 for the Carli Judice KO prop is very live here, Clint.
Juicy.
You know, usually for women's MMA, we might see +7, +800, you know, but the bookies know why they're giving it plus 400. I still think 400 is a good bet, honestly. And by the way, Clint, that's like on some shitty book. You can, I think that's on Bet Online, right? Which they're notoriously, you can get better odds than Bet Online because they're pretty sharp. So you'd be able to get a 6-1 out there, a 550 or something. And I don't think that's a bad shot. So first fight of the night, and I'm already giving a prop out. I'm not saying this is a lock. What I am saying is that Judice is a very, very good bet. And I would say Judice is maybe a good parlay piece to have, you know, even at the price now, although it is getting a little bit wide. But I like the KO prop if you don't like to do parlays and you like to be a bit degenerate and try and make some money. So that's my take on the fight.
Love it. Absolutely love it. So we're lining up early on the favorite side of things here to start this show, my guy. We've already got almost 500 live viewers across all platforms. So thank you all very much for being here. And James getting nothing but love in this chat. So James gang, thank you all for showing out and being here this evening. Everybody do me a favor. Please hit that like button. Follow James if you haven't yet. The man is on an absolute tear. Already up over 100 units this year, unless I'm mistaken. Is that correct?
Yeah. 110 units. It's been a good year, bro.
Absolutely insane. At the 7-month mark, this man has already smashed that glass ceiling. So everybody hit that like button, share the show out. We're going to go over this entire dang card, and we got nuggets on everything here for you. Next up, you've got Brunno Ferreira, and he's taking on Jackson McVey. This is an interesting fight to me here, James, because it's a bit of a short notice thrown together mess. Jackson McVey was supposed to make his UFC debut just a couple of weeks ago. And unless I'm mistaken, he took a short notice opportunity to go ahead and get in to the UFC. That was supposed to be on the UFC 317 pay-per-view card. However, his opponent canceled. So they call up Cedric Dumas, and he's supposed to get in there. He ends up canceling, something about an ankle monitor. And then now they get Brunno Ferreira filling in, except for some reason they can't pull it off. So they push it to UFC 318. So it's one of these mixed and matched fights where it wasn't really thought through. It doesn't make sense. It's not set up for anybody. It's just like, hey, we got these two guys, chuck them both in the cage. Let's make sure we got a fight on the books. So kind of interesting. If you're one of those people that likes to play matchmaker and wonder, you know, who's the A side here, this is not that kind of fight, because I feel like it was kind of scrambled and thrown together real quick. We talked ever so briefly about Jackson McVey at UFC 317. 26 years old. He's a Minnesota boy. He's making his debut out of the LFA. And man, taking on a guy like Brunno, this guy is built to match Brunno. This is going to be a round one, go home or go big type of situation. He has only one fight, James, that has passed the 3-minute mark in his entire career. 6 fights, and he's gone past the 3-minute mark once. He's got 4 finishes in under 60 seconds. This kid is an absolute monster, it looks like. Now, we know that some of these quick turn and burn ultimate finishers, they don't necessarily cut it in the UFC. It's easy to dice through people on the regional scene. Sometimes it's a little more difficult to do that at the UFC level. And when they can't get that early finish, man, sometimes these guys end up getting finished themselves because they struggle with the level. They're a little less on the skill side when that physicality or that speed, that quickness, when it's not enough to carry you early, they can't do it for a full 15 minutes. So I'm kind of high on Jackson McVey. I'm very interested to learn more about him. There's not a whole lot to know right now. Like I said, one fight over the 3-minute mark. So even if you go back and watch this entire career of this guy, we still don't have a great picture of what he does or what he's capable of. Bruno Ferreira, 13-2. This guy's a meme machine, James. He's a KO monster. He's short. He's stocky. Everything he does is big, explosive movements. I mean, he's got stupid levels of power. He KO'd RoboCop, Gregory Rodriguez. Not many people can say that. And he did it with a jab. On top of that, he can submit people. You know, he kind of ruined my night against Armen Petrosian in his last fight where he snatched up that, I think it was an armbar that he snagged in that last fight. You got to worry about this guy. BJJ black belt, judo hips, judo throws, powerful takedowns, big overhands, closes distance rapidly. He's another guy that gets it done early too. Most of his wins are in rounds 1 or 2. And when he loses, he's usually on the bad side of a finish as well. If there's a under half round prop for this fight, that's the way to go, my man. It looks like Brunno is a massive, massive favorite here in this spot. And I just, you know what? Last week I got saved because I'm never a Kennedy Nezuchukwu minus 200 guy. Like, that was all. I was like, I think Kennedy probably has the skill set to win this fight. I missed the fade, James. I was one fight too early, right? I thought maybe he could squeeze by Walter Walker, and then I'll fade him in his next one. Walter gets the damn thing done. But just that principle of never laying that kind of a price tag on a fighter who I don't think is worth it saved me a couple of coins. I didn't get involved, and that's the kind of thing I'm doing here. Bruno Ferreira is not a guy I want to lay a chalk with. This is not a guy I'm laying a price tag with. And he's a minus 600 favorite. Jackson McVey is plus 440. The under 1.5 is like minus 300, which I would much rather play the under 1.5 at chalk than lay aside like minus 600 with Bruno Ferreira. Damn, dude. I want to say it's dog or pass from a betting perspective. I really do. I don't know enough about this Jackson McVey kid really to be comfortable even taking that flyer on him as a dog, though. I just really think it's going to be a under type of spot, and I'd rather play violence than pick a side. I guess, you know what? Everyone's going to rage, James, if I don't give an actual pick here. So I'll say Brunno wins. I'll take the coward's way out and say the minus 600 goes ahead and gets it done. But the last couple of weeks when I've said that, but I'm like, hey, but don't lay that price tag. The underdog either gets in there and gets the outright win or makes it very competitive where the favorite doesn't look like they're paying off that price tag. So zero confidence, guys. This is an underlook for me. James, what do you like in this fight? What do you make of this one?
Yeah, it's a very strange fight because we just don't know anything about Jackson, right? Obviously, we've seen his fast finishes on the regional scene. He looks fairly competent as a striker. You know, he stands in a southpaw stance. He's got very good rear. I won't say very good. He's got a solid rear body kick, rear head kick. You know, he's got a solid rear kick in general. Has a front teep as well as a back teep. So he looks, you know, competent to some degree. Likes to throw his kicks. Also has a pretty good clinch game from what I've seen. You know, will throw knees in the clinch, elbows in the clinch, etc., etc. And obviously opportunistic submission guy. You know, that's what we've seen on the regional scene multiple times. If you leave your head out for a second, he's going to jump on it. You know, he finished the guy with a ninja choke on the regional scene, which I very, very much like those chokes. It may have been a high elbow guillotine, I forget now. And then he also hit a dash choke, you know, which basically the guy just put his head in the wrong position for like half a second. And he jumped on it and finished it after chasing his legs. So I don't know much about him. At the end of the day, man, when you get someone like that who's just finishing everyone on the regional scene, kind of like Bruno Ferreira was doing, kind of like Nasultan Ruzabov, who finished Bruno Ferreira, was doing, I don't mind a unit shot on him, you know, just for the vibes, bro. Because at the end of the day, he could be a complete fraud and get finished here. He could keep finishing some guys here. You know, you never really know. It's like that dude. Who's that guy who went to a decision with Jose Medina and he finished Julian Marquez? Do you remember that guy? You've spoke about him before. The tall motherfucker. You don't remember him?
Zach Reese?
Yeah,
Zach Reese. The bum we're talking about?
yeah. Zach Reese. Thank you for that. Yeah, so, you know, it was kind of like Zach Reese. This guy's like, get all these early finishes. He replicated it in the UFC a couple of times. You know what I mean? So maybe this Jackson McVey, I don't think he's like amazing fighter. Even though he's getting all these finishes on the regional scene, I don't see it. You know, I don't see this guy being like a solid 3-round fight. He doesn't move his head very well. You know, I can definitely see him getting clocked early. He seems a little bit spazzy, you know, and those spazzy guys, they can catch you and stuff, you know. I mean, you're a blue belt in jiu-jitsu, if I'm not mistaken, so you would have rolled with a lot of, you know, spazzy white belts, and sometimes they can, you know, be a little bit dodgy early on because they're so aggressive and stuff. But as the fight goes on, you know, they usually slow down, and their entire skill set shows itself to not be maybe that deep. And I kind of feel that is the way with Jackson McVey. But at the end of the day, Clint, it's just like a gut feel, you know, because I haven't seen him go late, so I can't trust my gut that much. Now, the only thing I could do here is like, I wouldn't play an under. Definitely not. Just because of the price. You know what I mean? It's massive. It's like minus 300 to go under or something. It's like, it's just not worth it because Jackson McVey has never had any resistance. What if he is a dog? You know, what if he's got that dog in him? And when he has resistance, okay, he can't get his finish because he's getting resisted on, right? But I can't say he's automatically going to get finished himself then. He might not. Do you know what I mean? So it's like,
yeah,
it seems silly to play. Like under obviously seems obvious from like, you know, but it's just the price thing, you know. I could just never do it. It's like Kennedy. I played Walker last week and it was like you mentioned Kennedy, right? It's like, I cannot play Kennedy at minus 250. It's not that I don't think he's going to win. It's just literally a line thing, you know, and it comes down to this as well. I cannot play the under at minus 3. It's not, I don't think it's going to hit. It's just a line thing. I might take a shot on Jackson McVey. I might actually take it. I haven't looked at the odds this morning, and I'm going to get them up right now while I'm talking. So let me just stall while the odds load up. They're loading right now. And the odds are looking at plus 500 for Jackson McVey. That's a generous shot if I've ever seen one in my life. So I've already gave the boys a plus 500 prop bet in the last fight. I'm about to give you a plus 500 money line in this fight as well. Because, bro, like, why not? You know, he can just go out and finish him in 30 seconds, like Sultan Ruzaboev did. And I don't think Ruzaboev's a great fighter. Jackson McVey round one.
You pronounced his name wrong, James. It's Frodzaboev. Nursultan Frodzaboev.
Okay. You know what? You spoke about this dude earlier, and I forgot. I wanted to speak to you about this just very quickly. We're speaking about frauds, right? You mentioned the boy Cedric Dumas before. And I know on our last podcast, we had like a fun conversation about Cedric Dumas, you know, and I wasn't really like a believer in him, and I'm still not, right? I seen him training the other day with an ankle monitor, throwing kicks with the same leg, and I'm like, yeah, this is a funny dude, you know. I want to know, like, are you still high on him? Do you still think he's got, you know, the goods to do things in the UFC or not?
So I'll tell you, James, the whole Cedric Dumas thing is pretty hysterical because I think he's got every tool he needs to be very, very, very good at this. I don't think he's got the brain to do it. Like the fact that he keeps like this guy is the new John Jones. And I mean that because he can't get out of his own damn way. Like he could be really freaking good. He's tall, he's long, he can kickbox, he's embracing the grappling side of the game, he's improving at that, but he made his UFC debut high as a kite, loses his UFC debut by submission by his own admission because he was high stepping into the cage. Like, who does that? Who gets to the highest level of combat sports and is like, I can be off my ass walking into a fight, no problem. And then, I mean, I just feel like he got outmanned against Mikhail Oleksiejczuk. That's not the level he's at. He needs more time to level up. If he went to a good gym, not training out of somebody's garage, if he got some high-level coaches, I actually think he could still be good. At 29 years old, there's a lot of room for that kid to improve, and I think he's got physical gifts that he could harness. The fact is, I don't think he's going to. I think he's going to end up being like a low mid-tier fighter just because he refuses to get out of his comfort zone or do the right things that require you to be a professional athlete. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right. Good to know.
I've cooled on him. I've very much cooled on him.
Yeah. I just wanted to know, you know, he's been in the news a lot lately with all the, I don't know what the guy's getting up to, you know, some criminal activity, but I just wanted to hear your updated opinion on him. So yeah.
Once you get caught hiding in a dog house, I got to jump ship a little bit, man.
Yeah. Interesting dude, bro. You know, what's funny as well is I was going to play Jackson McVey against him. You know, that's another reason why I wanted to mention him. And I wanted to mention it in my Jackson breakdown. I was going to play Jackson against him. I woke up in the morning ready to click minus 110, and it had moved to minus 150. And I had messages in my DM from the people that moved it saying, "Oh, I'm going to bet Jackson." I was like, "You motherfucker, you moved it at 4 a.m. while I was sleeping. And then you told me you're going to move it. And then I still didn't get it." But the fight was
James, real quick, if I could, on that note, right? I think that says a little bit of something about Jackson McVey, because the UFC is fine with all the bullshit with Cedric Dumas. The UFC is fine with all the shenanigans with Cedric Dumas. And then when this Minnesota boy with a 6-0 undefeated record shows up, they go, hey, let's get those two in there together. You know what I mean? So it seems like Cedric is a guy they're willing to give chances. They're willing to keep him around. But as soon as they got somebody they might actually like, they're ready to throw him in there at a pick 'em price tag and see his head roll. They did the same thing with the Nursultan Rozaboev fight, right? That the eye poke, I stand by the fact that that fight ends differently if it wasn't for the eye poke that didn't get called. But you can see what the UFC is kind of trying to do there. So the odds makers have Brunno as a massive favorite. I'm just saying I think the UFC kind of likes this Jackson McVey kid.
Yeah, and I mean, we'll find out on the weekend if they're right, because Brunno's a very tough test and he's a plus 500 underdog. I might throw something on Jackson, but we'll see. This is not a lock for the chat, right? Because I made a case for a plus 500 underdog. Don't go crazy on it. That's all I'll say.
Absolutely. I will say I got to be I'm a little bummed out because at UFC 317 they had the Minnesota power thing rolling, man. Alvin Hines went out there and fought his ass off. He's from Minnesota, making his debut on the same exact card. I feel like there could have been some energy there for my Vikings boys getting in the cage. So now this kid's going to have to get out there and do it on his own. We'll see. I'm very curious. Very, very curious to see if he can pull it off or not. Next up, we got Ryan Spann, and he's taking on Łukasz Brzeski. And this is a fight I never thought that I would see made, James. I never thought that I would see these guys in the cage together, partially because Ryan Spann is a 205er for the majority of his career, partially because I thought Łukasz Brzeski would be cut by now. This is a crazy fight for the UFC to set up at this point. And what's even crazier is you've got Ryan Spann sitting as a minus 220 favorite. I am a never Spann favorite, James. You've got to give me plus money. You got to give me even money. I've got to be playing a sub prop. Like, that's what you've got to do for me to get in there with Ryan Superman Spann, okay? I've enjoyed this guy. I've hit a couple sub props with him. We've hit a couple round props with him. We have faded him spectacularly at times. I feel like I've got a really good read on Ryan Superman Spann. He is my favorite glass cannon. He's round one or bust to the absolute maximum. You cannot tell me that this guy isn't round one or bust when the one time he goes a full 15 minutes, he loses a decision to geriatric Anthony Smith. If you're losing decisions to Anthony Smith anytime in the last 5 years, there's a problem. So yeah, Ryan Spann is a guy that just don't got it if the fight gets extended. He likes to club and sub people. He's got clubbing big power on the feet, but he will snatch a neck at his earliest opportunity. I actually thought Kennedy Nzechukwu high elbow guillotine, like I thought that was something he could pull off in his last fight, because these guys train together, and that guillotine choke that they have, there's something different about it. I couldn't tell you, right? I'm not in the gym with them, but they have a very spectacular guillotine on them, the two of them working together. He's got 13 wins by submission, with 11 of them coming in the very first round. So you got to protect your neck out there with Ryan Spann, and he will throw hands to set that up. Łukasz Brzeski on the other side of this thing, he is a mid to low tier heavyweight, man. This guy is not very good just in general. He's a bit of that soft body, probably could make 205 type of guy. 33 years old. He's a volume machine. It doesn't seem like he's got great power at heavyweight. He just gets in there and kind of spazzes and spams out, which I feel like at heavyweight, you got to have that nuclear deterrent, man. You've got to be able to get the respect with your hands, and he's just not capable of that. His last couple of fights, he got iced by Mick Parkin and Kennedy Nzechukwu. Before that, these guys have a common opponent. They both got finished by Waldo Cortez Acosta, which for me, I know there's some Waldo fans out there. I know he's on a hot run right now. I think he's kind of a wolf in sheep's clothing, and getting knocked out by that guy is not a good look in my opinion. So with both these guys sharing KO losses to Waldo Cortez Acosta, especially early, I'm just like, man, this is a bum fight, James. This is straight up a bum fight. I have a hard time seeing this fight get out of the first round, because Ryan Spann will do what he does. And if he doesn't get that first round finish, I know Łukasz Brzeski ain't stopping. I know he will put the heat on Ryan Spann, and he'll just cook his gas tank if this fight gets extended. So Early finish for Spann, maybe an early round 2 finish for Brzeski. The under 1.5 at -160. That seems almost suspiciously low. I hope this isn't one of those trap totals because I do think it's a bit of a 1-round fight. I gotta say Ryan Spann has a good enough ground game to get Łukasz Brzeski out of there, man. I think he's the more physical man of the two, and I don't think that Łukasz Brzeski is going to be able to take the kind of punches that come at him. And on top of that, he shoots these really weird entry sloppy takedowns, and that's perfect. That's just handing your neck on a silver platter to a guy like Ryan Spann. So I'm going to say Spann saves his job and gets it back going with a round 1 guillotine.
Yeah, round 1 guillotine from Ryan Spann. I've heard that before. I've seen that before, and we might see it again. I want to say a quick shout out to everyone in the chat because there's a lot of people showing love right now. We got my man Drew, we got William, Jenna, a lot of people in there. I can't say everyone's name, but yeah, really, really appreciate all the love. Let's keep running it up. Let's hopefully cash some money on this fight because I'm telling you now, Clint, there may be a prop that I want to play on this fight as well. You know, there's 3 fights in a row and there's all bets flying everywhere. Now, this is not a crazy take. You know, there's no plus 500s in this one, Clint. But you did say that if you ever play Ryan Spann, you need plus money, right? Mm-hmm. Can I interest in you in a Ryan Spann round 1 at plus 160 odds?
Yeah, absolutely. That's his win condition. Ryan Spann round 1 is the same thing as his money line. I like that way better than -220.
Yeah. Even in his fight against Anthony Smith, the rematch, where I played Ryan Spann via decision at plus 1800 and he lost via split decision and my heart broke. Even in that fight, apparently his win condition was round 1 because he couldn't even beat Anthony Smith, who was washed, who wasn't even really throwing anything, and he had to lose a split decision there. So you may be right. It may truly be his win condition. It's been a long time since Ryan Spann has won a fight outside of the first round. Actually, I want to actually do my due diligence and find out when that is. Do you think off the top of your head the last time Ryan Spann won a fight out of round 1? Don't search it up. You're on mute. I can't hear you. Is that me? Boys in the chat, let me know if you can hear Clint. Clint, no one can hear you. Chat, let me know if you can hear Clint. No, Clint, no one can hear you, bro. I don't know what happened to Clint, but anyway, let me continue with the breakdown. So, sorry, boys, I didn't know if you guys could hear him and I couldn't. So, yeah, I'm going to go on Ryan Spann's record now, and I'm going to tell you the last time he won a fight outside of round 1. So, I'm going to tell you all his wins, right? And I'll skip the losses. Ovin St. Preux, guillotine round 1. Dominic Reyes, jab round 1. Kutalaba, guillotine round 1. Serkinov, right cross round 1. Sam Alvey, split decision win in 2020. Back when COVID was a thing. Back when they was locking everyone in their houses and said you're going to kill grandma if you step outside the house. That was 5 years ago, boys. That was a long-ass time ago. Oh, it's Clint's gone now. This is me, boys. What's going on? Welcome to the office. I know it doesn't look that good. You know, it's better when the editor spruces it up. We got my man Clint back again.
Can you hear me, James? Can you hear
me? I can hear you now.
You know the struggle, my man. I spent so much damn money on this brand new microphone. It's glorious. I sound amazing. The voice is sexy. It comes across very clearly. However, it's touchy as shit. Like I barely tapped, like my thumb kind of edged the side of it in the USB port and just it's gone. Like I can't touch anything while I'm live with this stupid microphone.
It's not Blue Yeti, is it?
No, I got away from the Blue Yeti some time ago, man. This is one of the updated Shure models, the Shure Shure microphones. They're very nice.
If you remember, the Blue Yeti was notorious for if you touch it, it just completely disconnects. That's why I guess you've thrown it in the back there somewhere.
I was gonna say it's sitting back here somewhere. I got it as like a prop for my background. Oh, it's over there. I can't reach it. I see it now. Yeah. But yeah, that was my original microphone, was the Blue Yeti. Hey, if you guys are thinking about starting a podcast, or if you just want to like get out there and talk to people online, the Blue Yeti is a perfect baby microphone. It's a baby's first podcast. Start with the Blue Yeti. it's not a bad one. But once you upgrade a little bit as you get going. Anyway, back to Ryan Spann. His last fight that he actually see right there. Now that's a monster mic right there. Look at that bad boy. I need to get one of those. I need to get one of those arms. His last decision win, or last win outside of round 1, was a split decision over Sam Alvey in 2020. And the pain, James, the pain of this memory, because I bet Sam Alvey that night. Do you remember my legendary run of betting on my boy Sam Alvey and losing like 5 split decisions in a row where they just could not give my guy the win? That was in the midst of that run, and I still to this day think they got it wrong. Like, they donated that win to Ryan Spann. He was trying to survive in round 3 against Sam Alvey. That should have warned us all what was coming down the pipe that night.
That was a good bet, Clint. And I'm assuming you got like massive odds. Like Sam Alvey was plus 250 or something like that night.
Yeah, I think he was 3-1.
Yeah, wow. That's a great bet. But you know what happens, boys. Shout out to Wonder Boy. Great bets don't always hit. Talk about 3-1.
Rude one in the chat says the anti-legendary one run. yeah, that was exactly. Yeah, that's infamous run, I think, is what we should call that spread there.
Yeah, but have you seen his run lately in Karate Combat, bro? He's knocking everyone out.
I was just betting my boy in the wrong sport, James. That's all it was. I just needed to wait for him to get signed over to Karate Combat, much like the Taffa bros. Once Junior Taffa goes over to Karate Combat, we'll be printing cash.
No, that's a great one. You know what? You want to hear something really funny?
Yeah.
I bet $4,000 on Tyrone Spong at -300 to beat Sam Alvey, and he got knocked out.
Oop.
Absolute retard, bro.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Tyrone Spong. So Tyrone Spong, like kickboxing world champion, like knocking everyone out in his day. And yeah, he'd been off for a while, but I thought he still only needed to land one shot on Sam Alvey in a sport where he couldn't get grappled, and somehow he gets knocked out by Sam Alvey. So yeah, he's had a crazy resurgence, and he's lost me even more money now, because I think I bet him like once against someone on his anti-legendary run. But yeah, going back to this fight, basically, I feel like Ryan Spann's going to kill him in round 1. That's really what it comes down to. Like I said, boys, it's been 5 years since COVID that he has won a fight outside of round 1. I'm not going to bet on it here, right? So that means I'm not going to bet on Spann unless I bet some type of prop, and the only prop is round 1. So I might bet on round 1. It's another prop I'm giving out to the chat. Shout out to everyone there, and that's it, Clint. That's my breakdown. Ryan Spann round 1. That's it.
I love it. Now that we got all the microphone shenanigans figured out, we'll wrap up the breakdown on this one, you guys. Both of us are liking Ryan Spann. I'm gonna say it's the sub, but we'll see. Round 1 or bust, don't matter. Shout out to Raheem saying lucrative game, smashing it right now. James is the best in the game. GOAT. And we know this is true. But thank you very much for the donation, Raheem. Really appreciate you being here live. And I've got an apology I have to issue here, James. I've got an apology because my boy Ethan Hershey is in the chat. He says, "Yo, Clint, where's the shot? You owe me." And Ethan, my boy, I have to apologize. I'm going to have to write you an IOU on that bet because it's been so long since I've lost one. I didn't realize I was out of Fireball, my man. I just texted the wife live on the air and asked her to bring me the bottle of Fireball. Apparently, we're dry in this house right now. So don't you worry. It's on this week's shopping list. I will pay with interest, okay? I'm a good gambler. I'm a man of my word. I owe you one shot. Next week, you get 2. Because I've got to make sure I repay you for your patience. So don't you worry, buddy. I will pay up for you next week. We'll get it there. I apologize for not being prepared this evening. Next up, we got Jimmy the Brute Crute returning to the UFC, taking on Marcin Prachnio. And my goodness. So, James, the UFC is obsessed with Jimmy Crute, okay? They are doing anything and everything they can to get this kid on track. He gets to the UFC early. He is their absolute favorite guy out of Australia, even with all the other options they had. Dana White's talking about, have you heard of Jimmy the Brute Crute? Like, they absolutely loved this kid. And he turns out to be just a phenomenal bust. His last 5 fights. Now, I'm not making this up, you guys. Jim Crute's record in his last 5 fights is 3-2. You heard that correctly. 3 losses, all by finish, 2 of them in the first round, and 2 draws. As in, he starts hot, can't get a finish, and then gets his ass whooped to the tune of a 10-8 that leads his fights to being a tie. I cannot believe how wrong I was on Jimmy Crute. So he gets to the UFC and he comes out like a bat out of hell, man. Round 1, Sam Alvey. Round 1, Oleg Zaechuk. Round 1, Modestas Bukauskas. It's like, man, this kid has got it all. He's a bat out of hell early. He's got a slick grappling game. His submissions are nasty. He's got raw God-given power on the feet, and when he lets loose, he hurts people. He gets TKO'd with leg kicks against Anthony Smith. And that's like, well, not really a fraud check, right? We weren't doing fraud checks back then, but it was like, he got the vet lesson, right? He learns his lesson against somebody with way more experience. No biggie. Well, then my boy Jamal Hill ices him in 50 seconds. Well, those of us who know, right, we knew Jamal was kind of a big deal before everybody else was. Hindsight, after the injury, he hasn't looked so good, but we can't take the fact that he took a belt, right? He won UFC gold. You cannot take that away from the man. So levels difference. We didn't know it at the time, but now we know. So the UFC goes, you know what? Let's hit the hard reset button. We're going to give you a softball here. Alonzo Menafield. It's like, if there's anybody in this division you should be beating, it's Alonzo Menafield. Now, I again have to kind of bite my tongue here just a little bit, James. I've underrated Atomic Alonzo Menafield. The run he is on right now, this legendary run that he is on since 2022. I can't believe some of the fights that this guy is winning, whether they're close, whether they're greasy, whether they're split decisions, whatever. Like, he just keeps finding ways to get his hand raised. So I'll tip my cap a little bit here to Alonzo Menafield, but I stand by the fact that the UFC felt like he was a softball, because after the draw between these two, Dana White said, run it back, boys. Run it back. Like, they literally were like, Jimmy, you got to beat this guy. We're giving you the easy one. You got to beat this guy. He gets submitted in round 2. Like, he's got PTSD, man. Every time Alonzo touches him, you can see it on his face. He's going, oh, shit. Like, he did not want to be in the cage with Atomic Menafield anymore. And then he taps out in the second round, which he's supposed to be the grappler. Comes back, takes a long layoff, 2 years. 2 years off, and goes, you know what? I can do this. You know what? I got that fire again. I'm hungry. Comes back and goes to a draw with Rodolfo Bellato. Yeah, the guy that just got memed by Paul Craig with the up kick. The guy that almost got knocked out flatlined by Ihorpateria. That's the guy that Jim Crute could not get out of the cage, you guys. So, man, I'm going to go back to an old good one here, James. I watched the fire die in Jim Crute's eyes. When he quit in that cage against Alonzo Menafield, I watched his desire to be in a fist fight leave his body. And it's hard to come back from that. Most people that hit that point do not recover. So now he's coming back, and they're giving him Marcin Prachnio, the easiest fight in the division. Marcin Prachnio is 17-8. He's old now. He's 37 years old. And this guy does not have a grappling game, like, whatsoever. Vitor Petrino got his first ever submission victory over this guy, and he waited until round 3 to do it. He could have finished him at literally any point in time during that fight. If you go back and watch it, James, I was screaming because I got a KO prop on Vitor Petrino that night, and he decides, I'm not going to finish him with my hands. I'm going to get my first submission victory as a professional. He waited until Marcin Prachnio was completely exhausted in the 3rd round, had nothing left to offer, and then chokes him out. Modestas Bukauskas copied his work. If Modestas can take you down in round 3 and choke you out, there's a problem, James. There's a real problem. So Marcin Prachnio's got some nasty leg kicks. He's pretty explosive. He's pretty quick, striking-wise, when he's on his feet, when he's fresh, when it's early. But the guy's got 5 minutes worth of cardio, and then he has no ground game defensively. So this is, again, just silver platter, Jim Crute. Go out there and take this guy down. Fluster him. Put him on his back. You will be able to submit him. It's a free win, buddy. If you want to stick around in the UFC, you got to go get this one. There's not a softer ball that we can give you. and I still don't want to lay minus 250 with Jim Crute. It's mandatory at this point to bet the draw, James. Like 50-1, this guy's already got 2 of them in his last 3 fights. Can you imagine Marcin Prachnio coming back in round 3 and leg kicking this guy to death and maybe getting a 10-8 round? Because I can. Like, I'm going to pick Jimmy Crute. It should be Jim Crute. It should be Jim Crute by sub, James. Realistically, it should be Jim Crute by sub in round 1, but I've seen crazier things happen with this guy, and it's impossible to trust a man who doesn't have a win in his last 5 fights, but instead has 2 draws. Talk to me, buddy. What are you seeing here? And do you have another plus 500 prop to give us?
I might. I'm gonna check the odds for some stuff because honestly, I might. So the Jimmy Crute one is a very interesting one to me, Clint, because he's been very open and vulnerable about his mental health issues, right? So I think he's also not won a fight since 2020. I believe that's the case. This is COVID times again. We spoke about Ryan Spann not winning a fight since 2020. I think it's the same for Jimmy Crute. I'm not 100% sure.
Modestus Bukauskas in 2020.
Yeah, because I looked at it the other day when I was doing research on this fight, right? And he took 2 years off from the sport after the Alonzo Menefield loss. And he was very open and vulnerable with the media and the public about why he did that, right? The reason he said he did that is because he struggled with bad mental health issues. He struggled with injuries. And he knew that he needed to take time away from the sport to find himself again, because he said that he didn't know who he was. That is his words, right? Now, he did take the time off. So he said what he was going to do. He also said in the original post, I think he put on Instagram, that I know I'm far from done, but I need to sort out my mind because I have these mental issues, these mental demons that I need to sort out, right? And, you know, a lot of us can relate to this in the world, right? Like, we all going through mental issues. We all have certain issues, demons in our mind. We all have certain things we went through maybe as kids, maybe even now to this day. And they do affect us. Of course, you know, most of us are men here. Maybe shout out to the 1% of women that watch my channel, but most of us are men here. So men's mental health.
We got a couple that roll through here.
Yeah. I have 2, and they always comment like, "Don't stop saying lads," because I always address the chat as lads, you know. But 99%. So sorry, ladies, but you know, men's mental health.
If I use the term "bro," it is gender neutral. I promise you. Yeah, I'm referring to the ladies are also my bros when I say that.
non-binary bro, whatever you want to call it. So you know, like men's mental health is a big thing, and I know for a fact that if you've got these mental struggles, you may not be performing 100% in whatever you do, right? Like, we can all relate to that. At least at some point in our life, mentally, we was feeling a bit fucked and we didn't show up. I honestly feel like Jimmy Crute has sorted those issues because in his last fight against Bellato, he looked good in that fight, in my opinion. You know, I think he looked good. He didn't look like he wanted to be out of there at any moment. He was fighting to the very final round. He was shooting takedowns, dead gassed in round 3, getting them. He had an argument to win the fight. He almost killed him in round 1. Like, Jimmy Crute looked pretty good in that fight. Jimmy Crute's not the best fighter of all time. I don't think it was any mental issue why he didn't win that fight. I just think it was a skill set issue. He almost killed him in round 1. He got gassed out, and Bellato kind of pieced him up in round 2 for the leg kicks. But, man, if he was mentally not there, he wouldn't have pushed through the leg kicks, man, because he was beating up that leg badly, you know, and it didn't go like it did in the Anthony Smith fight. But I just wanted to touch on like the confidence issue, the mental health side, because I think with someone like Jimmy Crute, it's a big thing. And you did touch on it as well. So I wanted to give my perspective from it as well. I feel like Jimmy Crute still has upside in the division. I still think he's got a decent skill set. And I think he gets his first win in 5 years in this fight. And you asked me if I had a plus 500 prop bet. And I don't know the odds. And I'm going to try and bring it up right now. So let me get the odds here. And because I don't know if the props are released. We got any props for this fight yet, Clint?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Okay, I can see it. All right. I'm going to try and...
props are up on Bet Online.
I'm going to try and get a plus 500 for you, Clint, just because you asked. You know what, Clint? I can't get a plus 500, but you know what I can do? I can give you a plus 450. How's about that?
I like plus 450. What are we doing?
We're going Jimmy Crute. And by the way, you mentioned this as well, so I'm not doing anything crazy, Clint. I mean, you're well ahead of me, but I'm going Jimmy Crute round 1 submission plus 450. Kimura. Modestus Bukauskas.
Ooh, Kimura.
If you want a plus 500, what about a plus 5,000? Maybe the
I was gonna
Kimura
say, James, you're blowing that plus 500 mark away if you're calling the Kimura. Those exact props on BetMGM, you guys, they're worth a scroll on Saturday morning.
Yeah, and anyone who, I'm pretty sure my man JB gave out the heel hook. He at least mentioned it, and that was probably plus 50 to 1 or 50 to 1 or something in
the Walter Walker heel hook. So they learned their lesson, James. They learned their lesson. Everybody got 50 to 1 the first two that he did because, of course, there's no way he's going to do it a second time, right? They nuked it. It was plus 800 this time. His sub prop was, I think, plus 650, and the heel hook was 8 to 1. So they absolutely nerfed the heel hook for Walter. It doesn't take these bookies long to catch on anymore.
Yeah, that's absolutely ridiculous. But one thing I will say is someone, I remember that now because someone commented on my profile and, after my Walker bet, and they was like, oh, I just got him heel hook plus 900. And then they showed the ticket, right? And then someone replied to it saying, you're a retard. I got submission plus 800. And it's like, submission 800 and heel hook plus 900 is insane.
It's so true.
Hey, he cashed the bet. He cashed the bet. So fuck it, mate. You got 9 to 1. The other guy got 8 to 1. So you won to some degree. But
that's a great call, though, James. I will say, because Jim Crute, I used to feel like I was the Jim Crute, expert on the block, right? He loves the Kimura. He absolutely loves the Kimura. So that's a great shout out for that exact finish prop.
Yeah. I think it's live because I'm not just saying that just for no reason. Like, I've done the tape, right? And if you go back and you look at the Modestus Bukauskas fight, who is somewhat a striker, right? He put Marcin Prachnio in a Kimura. I believe it was at the end of round 2, right? So I've seen him go for the Kimura. He also looks pretty weak on bottom, right? Marcin does not have a bottom game, as you mentioned. So if you're weak on bottom, you're not going to get rear naked choke. When I say weak on bottom, I mean off your back, right? So what are the submissions that you're going to get done with in the light heavyweight division if you're on your back? It's really the arm triangle or the Kimura or the straight arm bar. It's really just those three, really. I mean, there's not much else. Ezekiel choke from top. I mean, it's just unlikely.
Yeah, the scarf hold, our boy, the boa constrictor, right? The one and only.
Yeah, I mean, I would say number 1 submission by far would be the arm triangle. And then number 2 would be the Kimura. Those are the 2 easiest submissions. Everyone knows them. You learn them all the time. They're probably the easiest to get, much easier than a scarf hold. So, yeah, I feel like it's live because of his bottom game. I've seen him put in it before, and I've seen Jimmy Crute. I've seen him put in it 2 times, by the way, and I've seen Jimmy Crute get Kimuras before as well. So let's do the 50 to 1, 100 to 1 Jimmy Crute Kimura, and then the round 1 sub. If you don't have access to BetMGM, for 4.5 to 1. That's my prediction. Let's go, Jimmy Crute. First win since COVID.
We ball, James. We ball. We're all, everybody, you all better let us lock in on that Kimura since we're letting you guys know about it before we absolutely nuke the number. So we're watching for that bad boy to drop. We're going to get in on that for sure. And the one thing I'll tell you, James, as the resident blue belt, right, I'll let you know, I think that a lot of guys at this level, you shouldn't be getting submitted with a Kimura at the UFC level. You just shouldn't be. They're easy enough to defend. You just got to kind of know that they're coming in the first place to avoid them. So guys that are getting submitted with Kimuras, it's one of 2 things. It's either you don't know what you're doing or you're at a severe strength disadvantage. Like when Kayla Harrison gets a Kimura, you ain't going nowhere. There's not a damn thing you can do because she's just a beast and there's not an opportunity for you to defend that. It's all a power thing. With men, that's a lot easier because most guys have real big, real strong, real developed shoulders, biceps. It's a lot easier to defend that in the men's weight classes. However, the main thing with a Kimura is the angle. It's a fulcrum. If you get the angle on it correct, the amount of strength you put behind it is null and void, and most people just don't do it well enough to actually get to that point. Jim Crute is a guy that does. So he will absolutely get the leverage he needs to go ahead and finish that thing. And you've got an opponent in this case in Prachnio who I think simply doesn't know anything as far as how to defend it besides simply muscling his way out of it. So I love it. This sets up beautifully for a Kimura spot. Let's go Jim Crute. Let's go Jim Crute by sub. Let's go Jim Crute by Kimura. I love it, buddy. Let's hit this thing this week.
Let's fucking go, man. I'm pumped for it. I might just have to reach out to one of my American friends to tell me to put the BetMGM prop, and I wire them the money, or something like that, because I really want to bet this one. And, you mentioned the strength thing being a big part in the Kimura, and it is. And I honestly feel like Jimmy Crute has a massive strength advantage here, Clint. Jimmy Crute, he's like a rugby player build. You know what I mean? Like this guy, Australian rugby player. I know firsthand those motherfuckers are absolute beasts with the strength. Shout out to my boy Toby. Like, these guys have, if you got a mullet jacked and you're Australian, bro, they can Kimura anyone. You know what I mean? I know that for a fact. So
Absolutely.
I feel it can happen. And Clint, that's like 3-4 fights down, and I've gave out plus 500 in every fight. I feel like I should just give out a plus 500 in every fight. Do you reckon I should just do that, bro?
James, if you want to, shout out Narco Cop. We're doing Monday Lambos here. We'd have to call it something else though. We don't want to copyright the man. I think if you want to embrace the challenge of giving us a 5-1 prop bet on every fight, James, I love the idea. Let's freaking do it. We'll call it DGen Mondays. Let's get after it.
I'm ready, bro. I'm ready.
All right. Next up, we got Adam Fugit, and he welcomes Islam Dulatov to the UFC. The Ripper. This guy's from Germany. And I actually love that he's going with like a Jack the Ripper type of personality here. 11-1, 26 years old. He's making his UFC debut off of Dana White's Contender Series. And James, I'll be honest with you, this kid reminds me a little bit, just mentally speaking, putting him in a box, a little bit of a framework here. It's kind of the same thing as the Jackson McVey situation. We don't know a ton about him. He's got more fights, but we still don't know quite everything about him, what he's good at, all that kind of stuff, because he's got a 100% finish rate in his wins. His one and only fight to go the distance was the one and only loss that he's got on his record. This kid is hell on wheels, James. He starts super fast. He's extremely aggressive right out the gate. Watching his Dana White's Contender Series fight, he gets wild. I mean, we're talking to the point that I would go so far as to call him sloppy when he gets in there and gets after it. He'll do the underhooks thing and then start ripping the body. You know how they'll just get somebody up against the fence and start just absolutely pounding like both sides of the body. He'll throw like an 8-punch combo, just winging hooks to the body, trying to get you to open up a shot to the head. But he keeps his hands low, James. He admires his work. He takes a step back out of the clinch, and he's just kind of watching for his opponent's next move. I think he's extremely hittable. And if he's got someone who can defend or survive the kind of flurries he puts on, he's going to get clocked, man. He's going to have shots coming back at him at the UFC level. I worry about this kid's defense in a big, big way. I will say he's got a really clean right cross. I do love that he mixes up his attacks to the body and the head, those rib roasters. He loves his clinch knees. He's very tall. He works well on that Muay Thai plum. He's going to be 2 inches taller in this spot here against Adam Fugit. Fugit is 10-4, and he's my tough, mangy old dog, right? Fugit is my new version of Sam Alvey. He's the guy I want to root for. He's the guy that's got a good story. He climbed his way to the UFC, scraped and clawed for everybody. No one's given this man anything. I love fighters with that background. I love fighters with that story. I think he's actually pretty underrated. He goes out there and he puts on a fight every single time the UFC gets him booked. The problem is he's a little long in the tooth. He's 36 years old, and he's a little low on the talent side of things, James. It's rough because he's got the heart of a fighter. This guy's an absolute warrior, but he's just not UFC caliber for the long run anyway. He's alternating wins and losses. His wins are going to be a split decision over Josh Quinlan, and then he fraud checked Asian Conor McGregor, right? The Kinushita back in the day. Those are the 2 wins that he's got. And then since then, he's been thrown to the top contenders, the up-and-comers, the Mike Malats of the world. I think Michael Morales was the other one that he lost to. So he's getting beat by guys that are absolute studs, and then he's fraud checking guys that aren't. And so this is a real gamble on this fight, James. It comes down to how much do you believe in Islam from Germany? That's what this comes down to here for me. Adam Fugit is a plus 450 underdog. Islam is a minus 600 favorite. I think the big story in this fight, though, James, is simply going to be the speed. You know, one thing that you see Fugit do time and time and time again, he loves his body kicks, but he leans back and he tosses this kick out there to the body, and it looks nice. It doesn't do a ton of damage, and he'll throw 2, 3, 4 of them in a row and then kind of have these slow plodding steps in between them. And if you're willing to sit at range like Josh Quinlan did and just kind of get shut down by that, then that's fine. That'll work for you. But this Islam kid is going to be reaching for headshots during those moments. You know, you look at the Michael Morales fight, like the speed is a problem. And I think that's going to be the deciding factor. I don't think Islam is necessarily all that. I'm gonna give him some time to simmer. I'm not going to call him a fraud yet. He's too young for that. I'm not sure he's the next big thing, but I am sure he's faster in a big way than my boy Adam Fugit. I don't think he's going to get the fraud check, James. Again, I'll take the coward's way out and I'll side with the young kid. And unfortunately, I think he knocks Fugit out.
Yeah. I feel you, and I agree with you, man. I think someday he's going to get the fraud check. And what basically I'm trying to say is that I don't think this guy is like a top 5 fighter, because you could be convinced that he was, right? You know, like from his record, from what he's been doing, from what he did on the Contender Series. But I have my doubts. And I'm happy to be, you know, proved wrong, but I just have my doubts, man. I've seen some shaky things from him on the regional scene. Did you see that fight against, I don't know what the guy's name was. It was a strange surname, like a Greek name, Palagos or something like that, where he basically knocked him out, but the ref called it a low blow. But the only reason the ref called it a low blow was because he literally threw a straight hand and it bounced off the dude's forearm, and then it hit the dude's forearm, and then it went to the dude's balls. And then it was called a low blow.
I missed that. I did not see that one.
Yeah, that was a funny one. Like basically low blowed him, but only because, you know, he bounced his hand off the forearm, and then he ends up knocking him out, and then he's celebrating, but the ref's like, no, it's not over. You know, it's a low blow, and then they end up fighting. The fight continues, and he doesn't look that good in that fight. Like he's fucking the guy up. I'm not gonna lie, you know, like you mentioned, the speed difference even in that fight is crazy. I mean, his hand speed is mad. You know, he's throwing like a million shots. Kind of reminds me to some degree of Muhammad Ali's grandson, who just got fraud checked. Speaking of fraud check in the PFL, and I don't know whether, you know, maybe the stars are aligning there, but you know how they just do the machine gun shot where they throw like 18 shots in 1 minute. That's kind of what he does. But bro, like he kind of gassed out in that fight in round 1, I guess because he knocked the dude out about 4 times. But you know, he was getting a little bit tired. He got taken down. He got reversed on the ground once. He got hit with a big knee as well, and he got wobbled from a knee. So I've seen him hurt. So yeah, I don't know what to think about this guy, man. He, like, to be honest, he did, you know, end up smashing the guy badly, but I just feel like there's some weird vibes about him. I don't think Fugit's got the skill set to defeat him, though. I mean, he's got a very, very wide arsenal of attacks, Dulatov, man. He really, really does. You know, and he's got a bunch of submissions on his record now. And Clint, I'm trying to think of the way I can give you guys a plus 500 here on Degen Monday.
This one's a challenge.
Yeah. Do you have any insight for me? I mean, it's kind of tough, bro. I'm going to see the lines now.
Yeah, no, this one really is tough because honestly, it seems like if you want to hit that 500 mark, you're almost gonna have to go on the dog side of things, right? Or you know what, James, if you wanted to just get a little tricky on this one and say Adam Fugit junkyard dogs his way through it, we could say Islam in like rounds 2 or 3 because they're kind of front loading this thing to round 1. You know what I mean? If Islam can get a later finish, not an early finish so much. Islam by sub, it looks like, is 5-1. Islam in round 2 is plus 365. You know, once these things open up U.S. stateside, you'll get a probably better number on that. You might get that 500 there. But like Islam round 3 is 12-1. This one's tough. They're pricing us out on this one. Yeah,
I'm gonna go for a sub. I'm going to go for a sub at 5-1. I'm going to go round 1 sub at plus 1,000. And the reason I think it's so funny that the show's just changed into like a I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not betting round 1 sub, but anyway, for the plus 500 that I've randomly said I'm going to do on every fight. Yeah, I'm going to go with that angle because he has got multiple submissions on his record, Clint. I believe he's got like 4 or 5 submissions. And at the end of the day, man, the club and sub is so live here. You know, like I could see Fugit shooting into some type of takedown after he gets rocked because most people do that. against Dulatov if they have the chance, right? So yeah, I feel like the Darce choke and the guillotine is very live, and he will go for it. So yeah, submission round 1 sub plus 1,000. I think Dulatov's going to finish him in the first round, though. That's my prediction. And I wouldn't even mind the under. I wouldn't even mind the under, maybe a 1.5 or something. But I know it's been smashed now. Yeah, minus 175. But it still could be all right, to be honest, Clint.
Yeah. I mean, a little bit chalky. But, James, I got to tell you, last week's event, the chalky under 1.5s, those things were money. I mean, anywhere from minus 160 to minus 185, like they were no-brainers. You could have just hammered the unders and gotten way better numbers on all those 10-1 favorites. They all got it done early, except for, Fatima Klein, who got it done at the very last second of the first round. The very last second of the third round. I apologize there, misstep. So I think violence makes sense, unders make sense, and just for the people in the chat, let's not force James. If there's no plus 500 to be had, like let's get the real breakdown, let's get the real prediction. We as fun as it is, there's plenty of other prop shows throughout the week, but if there's one that you can point to that you do like, we'll take it. Okay. But yeah, we don't want people smashing sub and losing their money if we don't think that's what's going to happen.
I'm forcing myself, to be fair. It's not even the chat, so sorry about that. But honestly, Clint, I don't mind the round 1 sub. It's like the Petrino from last week, right? Like the KO is minus 300, but the subs plus 700. But the guy's got submissions on his record. I think Dulatov's very, very opportunistic submission guy. I've seen him get submissions on the regional scene. So yeah, I might even bet it myself. Speaking out loud now. That's why I like doing Parlay Madness, and that's why I like doing shows and even listening to shows, because I think of things more. And I oftentimes make bets after I do these type of shows. So that's one I may actually play for the upside.
I don't hate it, man. And Fugit loves to grapple. That's one of his things. He does love to get in there and mix it in with the takedowns and the clinch control. That's not bad. Not bad at all. So you never know. Shout out Matt in the chat, says shout out to Clint for being a good dude, not letting the haters and trolls online get him down. Keep doing your thing, buddy. James, you're the man. You too. Let's win some money. And Matt, you are the absolute man. Thank you very much for the love, the support. Thank you so much for the kind words. It means the absolute world to me. And I've always told everybody, man, I could blow through 3 bankrolls. Y'all ain't getting rid of me. I'll turn into a troll, man. I'll start taking, I'm a gunman for hire. You can put out a hit on a UFC fighter. If my curse is so strong that if I bet them they lose, y'all just got to pay me $100 to put 50 on the fighter you want to lose, and I'll start cursing everybody. So we'll steer straight into this thing. We'll make it work for us. I appreciate you, my guy. Next up, we've got Ateba Gautier taking on Robert Valentin. Robzilla, one of my favorite nicknames in the game these days, James. Ateba Gautier is young Francis Ngannou, Minganu. That's what he is. He's Minganu. 23 years old, 7-1 this kid. And I got to tell you, his biggest win right now is not all that impressive. But it is, if you know the game, right? He's coming off of a big win over Jose Medina. And it's like, man, Jose Medina is a walking punching bag. Jose Medina don't got to win in the UFC. Jose Medina lost on Dana White's Contender Series. Like, that is absolutely nothing to write home about. But the real ones know nobody finishes Jose Medina. Like, that guy is tougher than a $2 steak. You are not getting Jose Medina outside of the cage. He's only been knocked out once, and it was a massive knee from Ateba Gautier that got the job done. This kid is raw physical talent. I mean, the ceiling, there is no ceiling. Like, the sky is the limit, okay? I do not know what the upper limit of Ateba Gautier's skill set is, but he very well could be the next Francis Ngannou with the way he is built. I can't wait to see more of him. He's going to be 2 inches taller here in this spot. He will have a 4-inch reach advantage. And again, we'll say it, small sample size, James, but he's got a 90% takedown defense rating. This guy knows where his bread is buttered. He knows to keep it up on the feet and just hammer people with that relentless power that he's got. Rob Valentin, 10-5. He's 30 years old, and I feel a little bad for Rob Valentin because, honestly, he's one of these middle-of-the-road, serviceable type of guys that, frankly, I think they could do okay by. He could win and lose a couple here and there, save his job, stick around for a bit, but he's kind of getting the short end of the stick. He lost on the, he lost the Ultimate Fighter finale, and he had his moments in that fight against Ryan Loder. Turns out Ryan Loder's pretty good. And then they put him in there against Torres Finney. Shout out Spectation Sports Fighter, Torres Finney, 11-0 in the UFC so far. That was a tough one, man, because people were making the argument for Rob Valentin winning that fight just because he was the only one throwing anything. Torres Finney was hanging on to him for dear life, just pinning him up against the fence, taking him down. The ref would split them up, and he would immediately charge back in on another double leg. It was a pretty rough fight. And then for him to lose the split really kind of sucks for the guy, because I feel like he probably deserved to get his hand raised that night. And now the UFC is just using him as cannon fodder. Rob Valentin is a guy I feel like you've got to slip up, James. He's very opportunistic. He's got real fast back takes. He's got a real tight squeeze on him. So, like, if you don't know what you're doing or if you make a mistake, he will take advantage of it. But I don't know that he's got enough of a high-level skill set that he's going to hang around for very long. And when you've got a guy that you can't beat physically like Ateba, if he doesn't make a mistake, that doesn't leave you much opportunity to win the fight, man. I think this is Ateba Gautier again, and it's probably another brutal finish just because seems like that's what this guy does. I mean, maybe Rob Valentin is the type of guy who's tough and durable enough to survive to a decision, but I don't know, man. After watching him getting pounded out by Ryan Loder, I'm not so sure.
Yeah, very interesting fight. Ateba Gautier is an elite striker. You know, a very, very elite striker. So I actually call him Mini Francis Ngannou and Min Ngannou as well. And I've never heard that before until you just now. So it's interesting that you call him Min Ngannou. I thought I was coming up with some cool name, you know, but obviously not.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah, I guess we both do it. Well, shout out. Great minds think alike. We did come up with a good name. And that's the guy gives me Mini Ngannou vibes. You know what I mean? And but one thing I do want to mention, because, you know, like I've said Mini Ngannou about this guy before, and it's like, I think people might not understand that he's actually a much, much, much better striker than Francis Ngannou. Like, what I mean by that is, yeah, he's got the power and he's got the athleticism as Ngannou, but this guy is an elite striker, elite eyes in the pocket, like very, very high level striker. Like he could go over to a striking art right now and do extremely well, not get outclassed. He's got a deep, deep combat Sambo background, which is actually massive in Africa, in Cameroon specifically, which I didn't know until recently doing research about this guy. But he's got a deep combat Sambo background and a Muay Thai background. So the guy is a pure striker. And I mean, man, his switch head kick is unreal. Like, he's so fast. His body shots are amazing in the pocket. The way he times knees and uppercuts, they're amazing. It's like he times it before the fighter even dips their head. That's when you know you're dealing with an elite striker. You know, when they throw a strike to meet the opponent, when the opponent hasn't even moved yet, that's like a next level of striking. Because most of the time, right, the strikers will be like, all right, you've dipped your head. Now I'm going to throw an uppercut. But my guy goes, you're going to dip your head in a minute, so I'm going to throw an uppercut. Like, he can see things before they happen because he's setting traps. He's making reads on the fly. He sees how fighters move. You know, the way he kneed Jose Medina was very, very high level off the clinch, you know. So, yeah, I think this guy is a very, very good fighter on the feet. Grappling, he's terrible. You know, he's terrible grappler, Clint. He's really, really, really bad. Really bad. He doesn't really know what he's doing at all, to be honest. In MMA, he gets away with it more because he's just so physical. Every fight starts on the feet. He killed people. I've seen him kill someone in 4 seconds. Now, the guy ended up lasting a few minutes. But if you remember that fight against that poor, skinny white dude, I don't know what his name was, but he just was a lamb to slaughter, man. Yeah, Gautier, massive black geezer walking in, like back 4 times the size. And then you had this little like white guy, like, oh my God, what the fuck's going on? And then within 4 seconds, he kicked him in the face and his nose just started bursting open. And he's literally falling over the octagon with his own blood, because the blood is over the entire octagon. I've never seen so much blood. And somehow the ref lets it go on for another 3 minutes when the guy is shooting for his life. That's what you're coming up against, man. You're coming up against the guy who can damage you in 2 seconds. I've seen a combat Sambo fight of this guy, right? Where he gets taken down 4 times, he gets his back taken twice, and he gets put in 2 arm bars, and somehow the other guy's face is like, he's not even really doing much, right? The other guy's face is burst open. They had to stop the fight and put tape around the dude's face just because of how much blood was showing. So this guy can do insane damage with just like 1 or 2 strikes, you know. So he's got elite power, and like I said, he knows how to find it. But man, they're dangerous on the ground. If he gets his back taken here, I would not be surprised at all if Valentin, you know, submits him. I really wouldn't. I can't pick against this guy really, because I just, you know me, I'm a sucker for these strikers who just like put it on guys, man. That's why I love Peyton Talbot, man. This guy's just a different type of striker, you know.
The real GOAT.
Yeah, the real GOAT. Shout out to Peyton Talbot, cashing me every single fight I've ever bet on him. That guy's a legend. But yeah, you know, I can't bet against someone like Gautier anymore, because I just feel like if you're on the feet with him, you could be dead within 2 seconds. You really could, you know. So someone like Valentin, who I've seen quit in the octagon, he gassed out after 1 round against Loader. The physicality was a big thing for him in the Loader fight, right? And I know it was wrestling, but if the physicality of Loader's too much for you, I'm telling you now, the physicality of Gautier is going to be too much. But I've seen Gautier taken down off terrible shots, you know. So like, I definitely could see Valentin doing something here, but my prediction is going to be Mini Ngannou by KO, man. I mean, how can it not be, right? He's literally Mini Ngannou. So how can my prediction not be that he's going to get a knockout here? I'm very much looking forward to see him fight. I really hope he's improving. He's training with Puya Ramani, who's an extremely high-level grappler. So I believe that he's going to be making improvements now based on his partnership with Ramani. If you guys don't know who Ramani is, go and search him up. He actually submitted Hamdi Abdel Wahab in a grappling contest, which is kind of random. And he's a lot smaller than him. But yeah, that's just a little tidbit there. So I feel like he should be improving his grappling. And he's very young, you know. Bro, this guy's doing interviews, right? And I'm watching him. And he's like, yes, I'm only 22. I'm looking at him like, motherfucker, you're 32. What do you mean?
There's no chance.
22 years of age, bro. He's like triple the size of all of his opponents. That's another thing. Every opponent he fights, he looks like a weight class above him. He really does. And he also looks 33. You know what I mean? So apparently this guy's 23, though. I'm going to believe him. So he's 23. He's going to be making improvements fast, Clint. You know what I mean? He could be like Joshua Van type improvements, because they're basically the same age. So
nobody's improving as fast as Joshua Fan, man.
Facts. Yeah, facts. But man, if I really want to see Gautier, I think Gautier can go all the way to the top 5, top 3. I really do. But he needs to get elite at the takedown defense, like Israel Adesanya did coming into the MMA game. And I don't know whether he's going to get it, because it's so bad right now. Just the grappling, not so much the takedown defense, but it's so bad that I don't know whether he's going to be able to shore up those gaps. But if he does, we've got a title challenger on our hands. And I'm saying that right now. So let's see, man. Mini Ngannou KO. Well, I don't know.
I like it. The UFC is starved for prospects right now, James. I think Gautier may have his coming out party here on Saturday for them. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, we're going to side with the favorite here. We'll expect probably a KO. You never know. You never know if the grappling isn't quite there. He might get his fraud check. Everyone gets that fraud check, but he's already taken his first loss. So, you know, it's 2025. There is no O to be taken here. I'll say Ateba Gautier goes ahead and survives this bad boy. All right, guys, next fight up.
I wanted to shout out this fight because I really want to see this fight, and I want just you don't have to let me know who you think wins, but let me know maybe who you lean. Gautier versus Mansour Abdul Malik. That is a beautiful fight that I want to see. Very bad.
I hope they don't make that fight for 3 years, because that thing better have a ranking on the line for it.
I think we can see that.
Mansour seems just so raw to me, man. He seems so raw to me. I think Ateba right now, if it happened right now, Mansour might be the one guy who's got the physicality to actually like control and take down someone like Ateba Gautier. But I'm with you. I side on the high level striking. So when they're actually standing and they're banging it out, I think Gautier's got a decent edge there. And Mansour is mostly speed and explosion. The technique of Gautier would tip it for me. As long as he sorts out that takedown defense, I think he'd be the one that actually ended up getting it.
Yeah, that's a fucking fantasy matchup if I've ever seen one. But I agree, man. Couple of years and do it with a ranking on the line. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Yes, sir.
2027 times.
Keep that one in the back pocket. Let's not get that one too quick here. All right, guys. Next up, Francisco Prado takes on Nicolle Veretennikov. I always say this guy's name is Veretnikov. Veretennikov. I've caught myself. I apologize for the mispronunciations in the past. We've got it corrected here. Prado is a kid that I'm excited about, James. 12-3, 23 years old. I caught myself because I was kind of ready to give up on the kid. His last little run here, I believed so hard in him. I've lost money on him his last couple fights. He's 1-3 in his last 4. Not great, Bob. Not great. You get your, veteran lesson on short notice against Jamie Malarkey. I saw everything I wanted to see from the kid, and I thought, here we freaking go. We cashed in big against Otman Azaitar, but then the losses to Daniel Zellhuber and Jake Matthews, it seems like the UFC really wanted to push this kid, put him on a rocket ship, strap him the way they did Josh Van, get him to the top end of the weight class immediately, and he just wasn't able to overcome those challenges. Then I had to kind of sit down, calm myself down, check myself, and go, you know what? He's just 23 years old. Not everybody is a Josh Van, James. Not everybody can take off running and just sprint to the top of the mountain, right? Some people need to learn a few lessons, patch a couple things up, and then assault their division again a little bit later. I think that's Francisco Prado. I'm not ready to sell on him. I'm not ready to say he's washed. I'm not ready to say he isn't, a potential prospect. I'm just ready to give him a little bit of room to breathe, right? So I want to see what he does here in this fight. But I'm really excited about him in general. I love how aggressive he is. I love how mean he is. Like, this guy fights with hate in his heart when he strikes. He struggled at range against guys like Daniel Zellhuber, a more polished striker like Jamie Malarkey. He's almost like a young Chris Curtis. If you're willing to stand in front of him and bang, like, this guy's got power. This guy's got that killer instinct, that will. He'll absolutely make sure you're the one that falls first if you get in there and trade with him. So you've got to be very careful. And when he fights people who will have a more technical game plan with him, he needs to figure that out. To this day, Chris Curtis still doesn't know how to fight somebody who's running away from him. This kid needs to figure that out early, take a lesson from the old man, and learn how to counter these guys that want to be a little, light on their feet and stay away from you. So in this fight, he's getting Nicolle Veretennikov, 12-6, who is 35 years old. I don't know what to make of this guy. He's 0-2 in the UFC. Lost his first fight against Danny Barlow by split decision. I'll be honest with you. Danny Barlow, I've got questions at this point about him. I thought he was going to be an absolute stud, but back-to-back fights where he kind of hasn't looked great. I'm not so sure anymore. And then he gets ground and pounded by Austin Vanderford. Now, Mr. Paige Van Zandt, I was excited about him making it to the UFC, but he's also 35 years old. Not the greatest look to get taken down by that guy and absolutely flatlined, ground and pound in the second round. He KO'd Anthony Ivion looking for a fight. He was in the PFL. He lost on Dana White's Contender Series to Michael Morales. Like, Veretennikov falls in that mid-range category to me. I'm just not quite sure what to make of him, but it's a lot of question marks because I feel like he should be winning some of these fights and not just losing, all of them. He's well-rounded. He's got power. He's got really good balance, actually, when people get in on him and he gets up on like 1 foot or something like that. But he's too old to be a prospect. He's got a nice jab. He feints a lot. This seems like the kind of guy that will just get in there with my boy Prado and throw caution to the wind. And I think that could age very, very poorly for him. He's going to have a decent size advantage in this spot, though. That's the concern for me for Prado. I think he's going to have a 5-inch reach advantage. And if Prado can't close that distance, that's a problem, James. This is one of the closer fights on the card. Looks like a little bit of money has come in here on Francisco Prado. He's about a -150 favorite. He was -135 a little bit earlier this morning. So a little bit of love coming in on that side. I'm going to be honest with you. This is my sit back and take notes fight, right? I'm going to pick Francisco Prado. I think he's going to be my guy. I think he's going to be my boy, right? I want to pick him to win this fight. I think he'll develop. I think he'll grow. I think he'll be good. But this could be one more fight where he struggles with the range of an older opponent, someone who's a little bit more seasoned, someone who's a little bit more knowledgeable. I could see him having a hard time in this fight. I'm hoping he wins. I'll pick him to win. But I don't think I want to jump in on a money line here on this one, just given what we've seen in his last couple of fights.
Yeah, I fully understand you. I'm glad you have a decent breakdown on this one, technical breakdown, because I really don't, Clint. And I've gone long on a lot of other fights, as I love to do, and I love to drag the show on, as we both do. We're chatterboxes, so when we get on the stream, we end up going for hours and hours. So I'm going to be
every time, man.
Every time, and I love it, bro. I wouldn't change it any other way. You know, we got this money to make and the fun to have. So I am going to basically take it easy on a breakdown on this one. I just want to say it could be a tough fight for Prado because Veretennikov is big. He's solid durability. Morales couldn't finish him. It took a long time for Van der Voort to finish him, and it was on the mat. I don't think Prado is going to be doing that here. I don't think Prado is a true welterweight. You know, I don't think this is a good weight class for him. He's moved up. I don't know why. I honestly don't think it's a good weight class for him. He needs to get back down.
I agree.
I think it could be a tough fight for him based on Veretennikov has good durability and he's going to be bigger and he's going to have better clinch game. And when you're a smaller guy, oftentimes you're going to lose the clinch battle. You know, if you're a tall guy, you're getting that Muay Thai clinch, which Veretennikov will do consistently. He loves to go to the clinch. Very good clinch knees, very solid in the clinch. It could be a problem for Prado because I don't know if he's going to be able to break it. Maybe he can rip to the body, overhand and stuff like Josh Van did to Royval. That was very good counter to the clinch. You know, we had the taller man in Royval, the shorter guy in Van, and Royval went to the clinch. Of course he would. Why not? And the great counter was the body shot. So I feel like Prado could do that because he's got very good boxing in close. But outside of that, he doesn't have a massive game. So, man, I feel like it's a close fight. I don't really have a strong read on it, Clint. And I'm just going to pass on the fight overall.
Okay. Yeah, man, I think you and I are in the same boat here on this one. And I think that's a good idea. We're already an hour and 30 in, and we haven't even hit the halfway mark. So this is one where we can definitely say, let's take some notes. We'll sit back. We'll watch. We'll root for the kid. But I can definitely see this be a bit of an uphill battle here for him. All right, guys, got to shout out some sponsors here real quick. Let's do this thing. First and foremost, I want to say if you guys haven't checked out Kalshi, you guys need to take a look at this thing. This is a betting marketplace. It's kind of intriguing. It's really phenomenal, actually. So it's sports betting, but it's more like a stock market. You can do everything on here that you can do on a sports book, but it's all predictive, right? Like, so right now they've got the home run derby going on. This thing is live. You can see the numbers going up and down in real time. You can pick your winner here, Cal Raleigh versus O'Neal Cruz. You can do all kinds of stuff. I know we avoid politics. This is supposed to be a safe haven for getting away from the world on this podcast, but you guys can bet politics, things like will or won't they release the Epstein files and, you know, shit like that on this thing. And now they've got UFC. So they're going to have UFC 318 up here as well. Make sure you guys use promo code DIEHARD. I believe with $100, you'll get a 10% kickback anytime you gamble on Kalshi. So you guys make sure you go out there, check them out. Next up, Spectation Sports. You guys, it's a doubleheader week for Spectation Sports. We've got Cage Titan 72 and Legends of Combat 3. I will tell you guys, Legends of Combat, the kid that's in the main event over there, absolute stud. You guys need to keep an eye out for him. He will be on Dana White's Contender Series sooner than later. And Cage Titans 72, Cage Titans is probably the best organization on Spectation Sports, and they never fail to deliver. They're absolutely phenomenal. They've got a lot of up-and-comers. Jack Congdon from Cage Titans just got signed to Dana White's Contender Series. Joe Giannetti was fighting over there for a while. Like, you guys need to be watching Cage Titans for these up-and-comers. And frankly, the fights they put on are absolute bangers. Promo code DIEHARD will get you 20% off of your subscription when you sign up. And Spectation Sports is the up-and-coming provider for fights, an alternative to the UFC Fight Pass. They're getting a lot of other regional shows, so there's going to be a ton of MMA content for you guys to watch on that platform. Make sure you check it out. And hey, do me a favor, follow them on social medias as well. They're posting a lot of fight recaps and clips and all that kind of stuff as well. So just trying to get that name out there. Make sure you guys are getting involved. I am here with James, Lucrative MMA himself, the man who is up over 100 units already in the year of our Lord 2025. And I could not be more excited to have him on the show to talk about this awesome pay-per-view card. We're going long tonight. As always, we'll try to shorten it up here for you guys a little bit on the main card, but when we got stuff to say, we got to get it out. Next fight on the docket, Marvin Vettori taking on Brendan All-In Allen. And James, I've been waiting for this fight, James. This is one where I will plant my flag. And I don't care how stupid it sounds. I don't care how bad it looks in hindsight. I've circled this fight, James. I've been waiting for this fight. I called my shot 2 years ago when these boys got into a brawl in the floor of a casino. They couldn't stand each other, and we got dirty cell phone footage of them going at it next to a blackjack table. Like, I knew this fight was coming eventually, and I called my shot, and I've got to stick to it, right? Go down with the damn ship. Marvin Vettori is going to knock Brendan Allen out. Yes, I said it. I know that sounds crazy. James is the one giving out the 5-1 props, but on this fight, I got you covered, okay? Marvin Vettori is 31 years old. He is still very technically in his prime. He's looked a little rough his last couple fights. People have talked about him maybe being shot. I don't think that's the case. He's alternating wins and losses. He fought to a decision with Rob Whittaker, 1-1 with Roman Dolidze, both very, very close fights. Both guys got clubbed and rocked, back and forth slobber knockers in those fights. And same things with Jared Cannonier. He actually almost put Jared Cannonier out in that fight. So this guy is learning to sit down on his hands. I know Marvin Vettori is a grappler wrestler first. I know he's a volume machine. I know he's only got 2 knockouts to his name, but you watch his last couple fights. He's rocked Dolidze in both fights. He rocked Jared Cannonier late in that fight as well. He rocked Paulo Costa in that fight. So he's getting close, James. He is getting very, very close. Now, Brendan Allen, 24-7. He's 29 years old. He's also still in his prime, but I'll be honest with you, if one of these guys is burnt goods, I think Brendan Allen actually might be the one you want to point towards a little bit more than Marvin Vettori. He's 3-2 in his last 5, but let's be real, James. He should be 2-3 because Chris Curtis beat his ass. Chris Curtis absolutely won the fight with Brendan Allen. I can't believe they robbed the man that night in a 5-round main event, a fight that was built for Chris Curtis to go out there and get the thing done. Brendan Allen was hanging on for dear life at the end of that fight, getting rocked all over the cage by Chris Curtis. He goes out and loses to Nasruddin Imavov and Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. We've seen the ceiling of Brendan Allen, right? He's long, he's tall, his striking is improving, but he's a submission guy. He's an opportunistic submission guy. He's tapping out guys like Paul Craig and Bruno Silva, Christoph Jotko. I mean, guys that are really tough to get out of there. I will give Brendan Allen credit where it's due. He's got a very, very opportunistic and dangerous submission game. But frankly, I think he's a bit of a pansy. I think he's a bit of a weenie. When he gets stuck on the feet with guys who refuse to go away, he wilts. He's got cardio concerns. He slows down. And that's where, like in the Chris Curtis fight, you could see that man fading. You could see the fear in his eyes as that fight was continuing because he just doesn't want to be in there. And he puts so much effort into getting these fights to the ground. He doesn't have it on the feet. Marvin Vettori may have gotten banged up in his last couple fights, you guys. May have gotten banged up in his last couple fights. But what has never happened to Marvin Vettori is he has never once been finished. You can't say the same for Brendan Allen. Brendan Allen has been knocked out twice. I question his heart. I question his durability. And he's also been submitted once, believe it or not, which is his, calling card there. So Marvin Vettori, the only way you're beating this guy is beating him by decision. And of the 9 decisions that Brendan Allen has been to, he is 5-4. So he is 50-50. He is 500 in going to decisions. So you're telling me this guy's going to come out and go to a decision with Marvin Vettori, somebody who's a cleaner boxer than him, somebody who's got more volume than him, somebody who's impossible to actually finish. I think Brendan Allen needs a finish, you guys. I think Brendan Allen absolutely needs to get a finish if he's going to have any shot at winning this fight. Now, could he submit a slightly more fragile, a slightly toasted goods version of Marvin Vettori? Yes. Yes, he could. He absolutely could. But I don't think it's going to happen, and I think we're going to get the most dialed-in Marvin Vettori you have ever seen. Why is that? Now, I don't know if it is his actual blood relative or if it is just a close friend, but someone who he calls brother. I need to, for some reason, my Instagram isn't working here, and it's making me log in, so I can't get there for you. I actually think it's his blood brother. Marvin Vettori's brother died, you guys. Marvin Vettori's brother passed. And that's absolutely tragic. It's absolutely horrible. But we've talked about this before. Obviously, we're gamblers, so we want to be sensitive on the subject matter for these people. But at the end of the day, we are placing hard-earned money on bets and trying to win money. When you suffer a tragedy in your life like that, these fighters react one of 2 ways. It's either the wind beneath your wings, or it's just crushing, crippling pressure. And we see people struggle We see people struggle when they have someone pass, or we see people come out and have the fight of their life. They're fighting for somebody who's not with us anymore, and they show something within themselves because they've got a higher purpose that week, right? Marvin Vettori has been doing this entire camp with the singular mindset of going out there and winning this one for his brother who passed. That's the kind of extra tidbit of motivation that I'm absolutely going to get behind. So I thought Marvin Vettori was going to win this fight straight up, period, point blank. Skill set wise, stylistic wise, I thought Marvin Vettori was going to win this fight. Now you add in the past family member angle where he's got that extra motivation, and absolutely I'm going to get in there behind him for that kind of a fight. And I don't like the chin of Brendan Allen. I don't like the willingness to fade from Brendan Allen. I don't like the cardio from Brendan Allen. Man, I'm calling it. That is going to be our Link Memorial Dog of the Week. Marvin Vettori plus 200, James, and I'm telling you, I'm playing that knockout prop. I think Marvin's going to go out there and whip that ass this week.
Yeah, fair enough, bro. Yeah, it's tragic what happened to Marvin Vettori's brother. People, hug your loved ones. Make sure you make the most of all your days because, you know, some bad stuff happens. And it's funny because, not to bring the podcast down, but it's a guarantee that in every one of our life over the next 10 years, something tragic is going to happen. That's a guarantee. Every single person on this planet. So just make sure you are living every single day to the best of your ability. Try and maintain a happy, positive mindset. Bring others up. Hug your loved ones again. And just try and enjoy your life, man, because it doesn't last forever, you know? So, yeah, rest in peace to Marvin Vettori's brother. Hopefully he can go out there and get the win for him this weekend. I do think it's going to be a very tough fight, though. I think he's outskilled by Brendan Allen. I really do. I'd have to say that Brendan Allen is the better striker and the better grappler. Now, I don't know whether he's the better wrestler. I'd say he's probably the worst wrestler, but he can probably negate that with his grappling prowess. You know, you watch the Fluffy Hernandez 2 fights, and he's scrambling very well with Fluffy, and I'd say Fluffy's a much better wrestler than Marvin Vettori. He's a lot more relentless. He's a better grappler as well. Maybe just straight wrestling. You know, you could say Marvin's maybe a little bit stronger, but I don't really think we're going to see Marvin consistently grapple Brendan Allen here. Brendan Allen's probably going to be able to, you know, threaten with some submissions. I also think Brendan Allen could potentially get on the back and do something very, very bad to Marvin Vettori, maybe even choke him out. Now, on the feet, it's a weird one because Brendan Allen, I feel like he's a much better striker, better kicks, faster, but Marvin Vettori definitely has the durability advantage here. You know, I think he's way more durable, way tougher. He probably has the better cardio as well. So, you know, it could even itself out if they get into some type of swinging war. He also hurt Jared Cannonier in the fight that took a couple of years off his life. He also hurt Roman Dolidze in a fight that he got easily beat. You know, I had bet Roman Dolidze in that spot, and I didn't expect it to look that easy. I could take all the credit and say it was a great bet. I honestly think that Marvin Vettori underperformed in that spot. But I was predicting him to underperform, to be honest, based on the lack of training he had done before that fight. So if you remember, he had a bad injury before that fight. He had surgery, and I believe it was on his shoulder. And so he wasn't really in the gym. He only got in the gym about a month or 6 weeks before that fight, right? So I guess he's been in the gym a bit longer now, but there's not much to see that on his Instagram. He's got a couple of photos on his Instagram, so it's tough to know if Marvin is all there. I mean, I know he wasn't training that much before the Dolidze fight, and he took it, and he got cleanly beat. And then I don't know how much he's been training after. Obviously, his brother passed away. Again, we don't know how that affects him. It could be a negative. It could be a positive. I don't like that to happen to my fighters, though. I'd definitely say, you know, like I'd rather that not happen, right? I don't want to rely on it being a positive. Like I definitely think it's more of a negative, right? Or just volatility that you don't need, right? So I don't like that. I don't like that because, yeah, I just don't like that. And so I'm gonna go with Brendan Allen here. I respect your take, man. You're playing plus 200. You know, it is what it is. This is a rematch as well. We know rematches don't go the same way as their first fight. Obviously, they had their first fight on the Las Vegas Strip in the casino. So we know rematches don't go exactly the same way. So it'd be interesting to see how this one plays out. But yeah, I think Brendan Allen's going to get it done. I just think he's the better fighter overall. So I'll pick Brendan Allen, and we'll disagree on this one a little bit.
Sounds good, man. I'm going Dricus Duplessis style on this one. I think the the never say die attitude of Vettori, the constant forward pressure, the refusal to give up. I think that's what'll make the difference, even at the slightly technical disadvantage. So plus 200, give me the guy that wants it more. You know what I mean? And shout out Cade in the chat real quick. I think you're misinterpreting my words there just a little bit, buddy. No, Marvin Vettori is not going to hit harder because his brother died. Like, you watch his last couple fights and his striking has been improving, and he seems to be sitting down more on his punches. He's rocking guys that are very well known for being durable in his last couple of fights. And I think the extra motivation is a positive factor. James interprets it the other way. So, slight disagreement here. We'll see. But I wouldn't boil my words down to brother died, so hit harder. That's not quite what's going on here. We do have the dog barking in the background, you guys, so we got to listen to my boy Bo. Obviously, we're doing Link a good one here, and we're going with the dog of the week. However, the real reason for that is I think the boy has actually got to go. So I apologize, but James, I'm going to tee you up. If you could set us up on this next fight, I'm going to let the dog out real quick so I don't have a mess to clean up after the show is over. We've got Kyler the Matrix Phillips taking on Vinicius Lockdog Oliveira, one of the hottest prospects in the game right now. And James, I'm going to let you take it away, guys. I will be right back.
The dog's going to go on Clint's side, and the dogs might have to go on this Kyler Phillips fight. I mean, it's a very good fight, boys, and I definitely can make a case for Kyler Phillips here as an underdog. I don't have a strong read on who's going to win. I'll just tell you that straight up. Both fighters are very good fighters. One thing that stands out to me massively, right, because I'm a gambler at the end of the day, right? I'm a sports bettor. So I always look at things through a sports betting angle, through an odds angle, rather than this guy's going to win via rear naked choke. I always look at the odds, right? And I realized that Kyler Phillips has basically been a favorite in every single fight in his UFC career. You're talking 7-8 fights at this point, right? 6, 7, 8 fights. Except for one fight against Yudong Song, which he won, and he looked like the favorite, right? Every other fight he's been a favorite. You're talking minus 500, minus 600 opening range against Rob Font. You're talking minus 300s against Raoni Barcelos and Pedro Munoz. I mean, this guy has been a massive favorite. And now he's a plus 150 underdog against potentially a worse fighter than his very last fight. So that's interesting. And I'll also say it's a double odd swing, because on the other side, right, we've got Vinicius Oliveira, who's been an underdog in basically all of his fights. The guy was plus 210 against Said Nurmagomedov. I bet him plus 180, right? And now he's minus 180. So it's like both fighters have flipped. The guy is usually a dog. Now he's a favorite. The guy is usually a favorite. Now he's a dog. So is it a recency bias special? Or is it based on the skill set? I don't know. So we got that part out the way, the odds part, very, very important. And now we're going to speak about the stylistics. I think Vinicius Oliveira has a bad style. And by bad, I mean good, good style to potentially beat someone like Kyler Phillips, because he walks people down. He kind of tires out as well, but he walks people down and he will put it on you late. He will keep coming. And someone like Kyler Phillips has gassed out multiple times in his career. And every time he's lost, it's because he's gassed out. He hasn't lost a fight where he hasn't gassed out. It's never happened, right? All of his losses have come from gassing out, all the way back to the regional scene where he lost against Victor Henry. And what's interesting is that he gasses really bad in round 3. It's not like he gasses in round 2. Like, he really drops dead in round 3. Now, I have an idea of why he might gas. And I want to know you guys, if you remember, if you've done your tape study or you remember this guy's fights. I want to know, everyone in the chat, if you think I could be correct, because I don't even know if I'm correct. It's a theory. That's what we do with gambling. We make theories, right? So my theory is that the time Kyler Phillips has gassed out has been because it's been a small octagon, the UFC Apex. You go back to the fight against Rob Font. It's in the UFC Apex. You go back to the fight against, I'm thinking all of these off the top of my head, boys, Raulian Paiva. It's in the UFC Apex. You go back to the fight against Victor Henry. I don't know, but it's on the regional scene. Oftentimes they do have smaller rings. I'm not 100% sure on that size, right? So the only 2 times he's gassed out in the UFC has been in the UFC Apex. All the other times he's been in the big cage, he's not gassed out. And it's not just because of the pressure. People say, maybe Rob Font and Paiva pressured him. You know who else pressured him? Raoni Barcelos. And he didn't gas out in that fight, and he won cleanly. It wasn't a very close fight. He even out-grappled him at times. Very, very good grappling, Raoni Barcelos. So is it because of the small cage? The only counterpoint to that is Kyler Phillips was looking gassed after round 1. in the Rob Font fight, and that was nothing to do with the small cage because he grappled him for 4 minutes of round one, and then Rob Font started to put the pressure on. Rob Font had one of the best game plans I've ever seen in UFC history in that fight. He did not let Kyler Phillips breathe. He was up on him all the time, beautiful uppercuts, go into the body as well, and we know what Rob Font can do when he's on. He puts a pace on you. I don't know how this fight's going to play out because I'll tell you this now. Kyler Phillips can knock the hell out of Loke Dog. I have seen this guy knocked out brutally, and I think he can get knocked out again. He's not unbeatable. He was an underdog in all of his fights. He's not unbeatable. I know he looks unbeatable now because he's won all these underdog spots where I've bet him a couple of times, but he's not unbeatable. And I could definitely see him get knocked out unconscious like he has done before. I could also see him get grappled. Kyler Phillips has a beautiful blast single. And yes, I said blast single, not blast double. The way he takes the single leg and doesn't even rip it out, just blasts through with it. Very, very high level. And I haven't seen too many fighters do that. Usually when they get the single, shoulder pressure, turn the angle. But with Kyler Phillips, he's getting it and just kind of blasting through. It's a very specific single leg, and I really like to see him do that. And I think he could get grappling success on Vinicius Oliveira here. I'm going to try and cut the breakdown now because I'm going off on this one, Clint. But let me just wrap it all up. I think Kyler Phillips has a big, big edge in the first round. I think he's almost guaranteed to win the first round, like he does in every single first round the guy's ever fought. Elite. I don't know whether he's lost the first round. If he has, please let me know because I haven't seen it and I've done a lot of tape study. So I feel like he's going to win round one. I think Vinicius Oliveira has a good chance of winning round three. I don't know if he's going to get there. Kyler Phillips could submit him. Kyler Phillips could knock him out. So it's really going to come down to Kyler Phillips' gas tank, in my opinion. This fight is not in the apex, which is pretty bullish for Kyler Phillips. So I'm going to pick Kyler Phillips in this one. But I am not going to underestimate someone like Vinicius Oliveira, who could potentially walk him down late and hurt him. And I have seen Kyler Phillips fall off a cliff when he gets tired. He doesn't get finished, so that's pretty bullish as well. But he does fall off a bit of a cliff. So you're looking at Kyler Phillips round one, Vinicius round three, which just makes for a fucking close fight. And in a close fight, I'm going to pick the plus 150 underdog Kyler Phillips.
Okay, what a prediction. You love to hear it. I mean, you got to get a couple of dogs that squeeze through on this kind of card, right? So I like the bold call there, man. I think this fight, obviously you broke it down beautifully, and I missed the first half of it. I still got plenty of information after coming back. I agree with you that I think this is going to be a first and third situation, right? So you've got round one going to Kyler Phillips, more than likely round three going to Vinicius Oliveira, assuming he's still conscious. It all comes down to round two, and those are the fights that are really, really tough to lay price tags on, man. I talked about that with Chris Curtis last week. Minus 300 favorite. I ended up parlaying him up, but that went to a split decision because it was close. And those fights are really tough to lay chalk on because it comes down to 5 minutes and what the judges are looking for. You never know if you're getting a controlled judge or whether you're getting a damaged judge, and that will swing that one round based off of one person's decision. So tough to make an argument for the favorite. I will ever so slightly disagree with you here on this one again. I kind of feel like this is a fighter I don't need to get in front of, James. I talked about that with Josh Van, and then I talked myself into betting Brandon Royval, who, let's be real, has been good to me over the last couple of years. So, maybe a little bit more of a reason there to go ahead and put my money on Brandon Royval in that spot. But I said Josh Van is a prospect that I just don't need to bet against. Even if you think there's a shot, even if you think there's some value, when someone is that hot, you just don't step in front of him unless you've got a real good convicted reason to do so. And that's me right now with Vinicius Oliveira. So I respect the dog take. I respect the dog shot. I'm going to say Vinicius Oliveira keeps on rolling, and he'll be able to actually take advantage of Kyler Phillips slowing down in the second fight when he catches his second wind. Shout out the chat, MMA Propaholic. Thank you, buddy, very much for the donation here in the chat. I see a couple messages back. He said on Phillips here as well. So we've got some other dog hunters in the chat, but thank you very much for the donation, my friend. Appreciate you being here and appreciate you watching the show and tuning in. He also said that Phillips has sneaky first round power. And frankly, that's the reason why I'm not like, I'm going to run to the bank with Lock Dog. Cause yeah, man, he's been knocked out a couple of times. That's absolutely something that is on the table. Dravi in the chat as well. What's up, buddy? Another man in the game who's on an absolutely legendary run. And I do apologize. I don't think I shouted out my guy VP earlier either. Kyler's my guy, but Oliveira's pressure in 2-3 is absurd. horrible stylistic matchup for Kyler if it goes late. And I tend to lean with VB's assessment on that as well. But it sounds like this is one that the MMA Twitter sphere is going to be going back and forth on, which always ends up being a good time for us on Twitter. Next up, guys.
JB.
JB in the chat.
Yeah, my man Jewish Better. Shout out my man Jew. So he said 7% of Tapology votes on Phillips.
There we go.
Which is kind of crazy, boys. And honestly, it makes me want to bet Kyler Phillips when only 7% of Tapology are voting on him. Because we know 99% or 93% of MMA fans pick the wrong guy and they're kind of retarded. So I'd like to fade that. Don't you think that's kind of crazy? 7%? Damn.
So I'll be honest with you, James. Now, this is one where I don't have the data, right? This is just a Clint headcanon type of situation. Whenever you get a near pick'em line and it's skewed like 80-20 or higher, I just feel like it's always wrong. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. I apologize, JB, not forgetting you, buddy. I didn't see your comment rolling on back there. We got you, man. Thank you for being here. I feel like it's always the wrong side when it's a high split difference on that percentage, but the line is close. Yeah. You know what I mean? If he's a 250 favorite, a 300 favorite, and it's 90-10, it's like, okay, whatever. Like, we're all parlaying up. But when it's a minus 150 and we're saying 90% of people are picking the other side, like,
yeah, it's bullish, bro.
Bookies don't agree with you. There's something there that you're missing.
Yeah, no, it's bullish, bro. There was this guy on Twitter who used to do the Tapology votes and convert them into odds. I can't remember, but I always used to have a laugh because Kyler Phillips at 93%, sorry, Vinicius at 93% would be minus 1,500, right?
Yeah.
But he's not. He's minus whatever, 150 or 170. So it honestly does make me want to bet him, especially the line swing that I mentioned as well, right? Kyler's always been a favorite. Now he's a dog. Like, these things actually matter, and they do make me want to bet Phillips. Like, they just add more to the stylistic point of view that I had as well.
That's another profitable spot generally. The first time the dog flips to being favorite, they're usually overvalued in that position as well. So sharp looks, man. It'll probably be enough to keep me passing on that fight. Next up, Michael Johnson takes on Daniel Golden Boy Zellhuber. Another one. You know, this fight, James, I'm surprised it's on this week's card and not on last week's card, because last week was all about sacrificing the old heads. Last week was all about cleaning out, you know, the geriatric fucks that are hanging around the UFC these days. And I'm surprised this one would have fit right on in there. Michael Johnson is 39 years old, man. And I mean, he looked fantastic in his last fight. Let's be real. Like, let's give him his flowers where it's due, but let's also put it in some context. His last two fights have been Darius Flowers and Ottman Azaitar. So that's nothing to write home about. Flowers doesn't belong in the UFC. Azaitar never did. And the UFC did him some favors because he's, you know, royalty over there, and they wanted to grease some wheels. He's not very good. Michael Johnson, extremely fast, still very athletic. Boxing is still crisp. Obviously, he's still got the power, but that was a levels situation. The thing with Michael Johnson that to this day, James, I'm just never going to put my money on Michael Johnson, is the fact that he can lose a fight that he's winning at any point in time. Like, it seems like he's got a good chin. It seems like he's good defensively. His timing's on point. He'll be in cruise control. And then just the slightest thing, a gust of wind, and all of a sudden he's hurt. It's so weird how he goes from being, you know, from looking good to being chinny in such a short amount of time. And then you like the Thiago Moises fight where he will be in the driver's seat and then give up a random ankle lock and just completely sell on you. Like, this is a guy who for some reason can't get out of his own way sometimes. And I will never put my money on him because of that, especially now that he's getting older. That's going to keep happening more and more. The durability is going to fade more and more as time goes on because we're getting up there. Daniel Zellhuber, 15-2. He's 26 years old, training out of Extreme Couture. Great place for him to be, in my opinion. He is 3-2 in his last 5. Got, you know, hustled by Trey Ogden back in the day, and then just dropped a split decision to Esteban Ribovics, who, you know, El Gringo, that's my boy. I love that kid. He's very, very fun and exciting to watch. And I think he beat Nasrat Haqparast. Anyway, I digress. Daniel Zellhuber, tall, lanky, long. You know, he's another one. He's kind of like a little bit like Ignacio Bahamondes when it comes to, you know, his frame and stuff like that. He's a guy that can put up 120 significant strikes, you know, without thinking about it. Lots of footwork, flicks in and out of range. likes his left body kick. He's got a very long jab. He's going to have a 4-inch reach advantage in this spot. He will be 3 inches taller than his opponent. Man, I think the UFC has a plan here, and I think I'm not going to rock that boat. I understand that Michael Johnson is extremely technical and very dangerous, but I just think age is probably going to catch him at some point, and I'll say the 26-year-old goes out there and gets the job done, just like last week where most of those favorites came through when they were supposed to. I think Daniel Zellhuber wins this fight. Does he get the finish on Michael Johnson? That's the real question here. I could see Daniel Zellhuber respecting the old dog and kind of picking and poking his way to a decision victory rather than actually getting that big clean knockout highlight reel, but you never know.
Yeah, this is an interesting fight. It's tough kind of for me to see exactly how it's going to play out stylistically, but I definitely think that Zellhuber is going to win the fight. I think he can win the fight a multitude of ways. That's kind of why I'm picking him. I do feel like in the first round, Michael Johnson might throw him off a little bit. He's still very fast, man. For his age, he has extremely fast boxing combinations still at this point in his career, still as a geriatric fuck, as you put it. He doesn't have geriatric hands. You know, he has 18-year-old hands. You know, he has very, very fast hands. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting for me to see exactly how the fight plays out. But I do feel like he's probably going to get finished. I think he's going to get finished. I think Zellhuber can submit him. I think Zellhuber can knock him out. Like you said, he finds a way to lose fights, you know, and that's definitely not the position you want to be in. Zellhuber's a strange guy as well. I feel like he's got a lot of potential, but maybe hasn't realized it yet and maybe never will. It's just something about him, you know, losing to Ogden, losing that split to Ribovics. I just feel like those are winnable fights for him, both of them. So, yeah, I do think, though, he has amazing durability. And we saw that in the Ribovics fight, right? Like very, very high-level durability. And if it becomes a war at any point, Michael Johnson is going to lose that durability war. He really do, you know. And Michael, he's very fast with his hands, but I also feel like he's open to be countered at times.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Zellhuber's smart enough to counter him. So
I think he's fast enough to counter him too.
Yeah. And I don't, like I said, Clint, I don't exactly know how the fight's going to play out, because I could see something stupid like Michael Johnson shooting for multiple takedowns and just getting guillotine choked or getting like ninja choked or something like that, because I don't think he's going to like the range of Zellhuber. You know, I don't think he's going to like Zellhuber kicking his head off. I don't think he's going to like Zellhuber jabbing him. I don't think he's going to like Zellhuber countering him at times. And I also feel like Zellhuber's the type of guy that as the fight gets late, you know, when you're talking round 2, round 3, he starts to put his volume on. He starts to read you. He starts to go to the body a little bit more. The body, head, and leg attacks start to add up. You know, if someone's calf kicking you or leg kicking you, in round 1, it might not be too bad. In round 2 and round 3 is when it really starts to pile up. And I do feel like if you go back and watch the Prado fight and you go back and watch the Ribovics fight in that war, I mean, those guys took a lot of fucking punishment. And I don't think Michael Johnson's going to take as much, because Prado and Ribovics like to just stand in a pocket and trade. But Johnson has to stand in a pocket at times to land anything here. He really does. I don't think he's going to do much from the outside. I mean, he's at a massive range and reach disadvantage. So he's going to have to swing at times. And I just feel like he's going to get countered. Knees, body kicks, leg kicks. So, yeah, I like Zellhuber in this fight. He's a massive favorite. So I don't know whether, you know, I love him as a massive favorite, minus 600. But maybe I play a plus money, because you're talking plus money on the doesn't go, I think. Or the under 1.5 is plus 170. Okay, so the doesn't go is minus 150, which I don't love as much. But maybe I just go Daniel Zellhuber ITD, you know, because at the end of the day, man, like, I don't really think Michael Johnson's going to finish this guy. It'll be very, very unlikely. So, yeah, I'll go with Zellhuber, and I'll go with Zellhuber inside the distance. And we speak about those plus 500s that I was giving out earlier in the show. If you can get a plus 500 or fairly close to it, which you can, I'm looking right now, on a Daniel Zellhuber submission, I don't mind that. You know, I feel like it's a potential path to victory for him when Michael Johnson gets hurt to the body, starts shooting. Never forget the Darius Flowers and Michael Johnson fight was in the grappling for a hell of a lot of time. So I could definitely see some grappling playing out on Michael getting submitted here. So that's my prediction.
Okay, I'm with you, man. I like it. And Cade's saying it's because Daniel Zellhuber is Mexican. We are durable people. And Cade, the Mexican durability is legendary, my friend. We no doubts whatsoever there. But I'm with you, James. I feel like this one could end up all over the board, so it makes it kind of scary. But you kind of got to chalk up and take the money line. I would hate to play a KO prop or an inside the distance and then have Zellhuber decides he wants to, just kind of kick and push and poke for 15 minutes and win a decision. You lose your bet that way. Like the money line's probably safest way to go here on this one, believe it or not. Shout out Mac Jr. for the dono. Thank you very much, my friend. Appreciate it. And he says it's the fucking Catalina wine mixer. Step Brothers call out. You love to see it. Good reference, my friend. Thank you very much for being here. All right, guys. Next one, we've got Dan Ige taking on Patricio Pitbull. And oh my goodness. So Pitbull and I, James, are fighting. We're not seeing eye to eye right now, okay? I put my money on Pitbull in his last fight, making his UFC debut going up against Yair Rodriguez. Now, the reason Pitbull and I are not going to be agreeing here this week is because Pitbull went on podcasts and Pitbull went out there and he talked to people and he goes, I know how you beat Yair Rodriguez. And I said, yes, Pitbull, yes. And he goes, you pressure him and you take him down and you put him on his back. And I go, yes, Pitbull, yes. Because you know Yair breaks. You know if you put this man on the ground, he will wilt under pressure. And then the fight starts, and Pitbull doesn't do jack shit. Pitbull goes out there and stands in front of Yair, and he doesn't cut the cage off, and he's willing to play at kicking range, and goes out there and just puts on a horrific performance and doesn't do a single thing he said he was going to do in that fight. Lo and behold, loses a decision and costs me money, and Yair somehow might get a fraudulent title shot off of that bullshit. I couldn't be more pissed about that whole situation. So now he is turning around, 38 years old, gets another crack at it, fighting Danny Ige. And let's be real. Pitbull, one of the most skilled guys in the game 8 years ago. Yeah, absolute legendary run over in Bellator, finishing people all over the place. He's got power. He's got serious power. And he's got a really tight squeeze on him, James. You know all about that guillotine. If he gets an opportunity, he will take your neck home with him. The thing is, seems like he's old, and his gas tank doesn't allow him to wrestle offensively the way he needs to maybe get the fight to the ground. And even watching some of his older fights in Bellator, the guillotine is kind of an opportunistic thing. It's almost like a Pedro Munoz type of thing where he's not going to go hunting it. It's there if you give it to him, but he's not going to go use it as part of his offensive game plan. It's a defensive thing, and he'll take it when you offer it. Danny Ige is not really going to offer it all that much. Danny Ige, 33 years old, so he's going to be 5 years younger in this spot, and 50K is just the man, right? Like he is a gatekeeper of all gatekeepers. This guy is a stud. He's got fast hands. He puts up volume. He's durable as all get out. He's never been finished by anybody, and he goes to war with the greats of this weight class. If you're looking for a title, you got to get past Dan Ige to get there. He will test absolutely everybody, and he sends most of the people home who are unworthy with broken jaws. This guy can knock you out senseless. He's got fast hands, and he's got serious pop in those hands. It was cathartic watching him knock out Sean Woodson in that last fight. That was a fun one for me because I've been trying to fade Sean Woodson for freaking ever. So finally getting one was absolutely glorious. This is a tough fight for me, though, because both these guys are going to have some size parity here. It's going to be two short, stocky guys that want to get in there and box going at it with each other. And with how durable Dan Ige is, I think this one might go the full 15 minutes, James. We've been talking about a lot of finishes. We've been talking about a lot of fights where we think it's going to be one-sided or somebody's going to show out. And I could see this one being like the fight of the night, back and forth war, both guys putting up big shots. Maybe someone gets knocked down. This could be that fight. I think Dan Ige is probably the side here. If anybody's going to get finished, it's probably Pitbull, just being the older guy. We've seen him react very poorly to some strikes in his last couple of fights, and especially coming over to the UFC, losing that fight to Yair Rodriguez. The whole thing was Michael Chandler-esque, right? I'm going to go to the UFC. I'm going to take the belt. I'm going to add that to my collection. He ain't getting the belt. We know that. He already lost to Yair Rodriguez. It's not happening. So I got to wonder how much motivation is left, right? Danny Ige always shows up to fight. It should be a fun one. I got to side with him.
Yeah, yeah. It's another fight back to back where I don't know how the fight's going to play out. Doesn't mean I don't have a strong read. For example, in the Zellhuber fight, I said I don't really know how it's going to play out stylistically, but I'm kind of confident that Zellhuber's going to win the fight and that he's honestly going to finish him as well. But I don't know exactly how the finish will come. You know, maybe body kicks him in round 3 too much and he just quits. Maybe he head kicks him. Maybe he gets one punch like against Josh Emmett. You know, maybe he gets submitted like Moises. I kind of feel the same with this one. I don't really know how the fight's going to play out. I lean Dan Ige because I think he has a durability advantage. And Dan Ige, man, this guy hurts everyone. Like he really does, you know, like he hurts everyone. I want to bring up his record now, Clint, because I don't want to misspeak. Because this guy went through a streak of about 7 fights where he knocked down, out, or hurt his opponent. And that's not easy to do. You know, that's not easy to do in MMA. And I just feel like he has a big durability advantage here. Patricio Pitbull has been getting hurt regularly in his recent fights. Jeremy Kennedy had him dropped, hurt. Yair Rodriguez did. He got knocked out by Suzuki, right? Like the guy's been fading his durability for a long time.
You can see it.
Yes, definitely, as he's getting older. So coming up against someone who hits as hard as Dan Ige, it's not a great style matchup. Now, on the other hand, it is a good style matchup because Dan Ige can be low volume. I feel like these guys are kind of similar in the fact that they often wait for the perfect moment to strike. They can be low volume. But I think Patricio Pitbull's a little bit more educated with the diverse skill set on the feet. What I mean is this guy, I could see this guy dancing around Ige on the outside, leg kicking him, pot shotting him every now and then, being fast and winning some rounds and minutes. I just feel like at some point Ige's probably going to crack him, you know. But if he doesn't crack him, which he hasn't done in every fight, then Patricio's probably going to run away with it, you know. Maybe a takedown or two. I don't think he'll get too much control, but maybe like Patricio's going to be the one, if anyone, grappling, I feel like, right? Patricio's going to be the one, if anyone, having like a tight guillotine or a tight submission attempt. Patricio's the one who's going to be throwing a little bit more volume, in my opinion. So that all lends itself to, you know, winning moments, winning minutes. I just think Dan Ige at some point is going to land his shot, you know, and that's going to either win the entire fight or the entire round. So I mentioned to you who he's hurt, right? He hurt Josh Emmett in that fight. Movsar Evloev, he got completely dominated. He didn't hurt him. Damon Jackson is his next fight. He knocks out Damon Jackson. Nate Landwehr, the next fight, hurts Nate Landwehr badly. Bryce Mitchell, the next fight, hurts Bryce Mitchell badly. Andre Fili, the next fight, knocks him out round 1 badly. Diego Lopez, the next fight, doesn't hurt him. It's about 37 minutes notice, and he ends up beating him up in round 3. So whatever.
Almost killed him in the 3rd round.
Yeah, exactly. Someone who's fighting, who just fought for the title, right? The next fight, Lerone Murphy, knocks him down badly in round 1. Next fight, Sean Woodson, knocks him out in round 3. Say what you want. He landed big shots, right? So, yeah, like, that's what I'm trying to say, Clint. You know, the guy lands his shots on basically everyone he fights, even in fights that he loses. So it's going to be irresponsible for me to say that he's not going to land a big shot or two here. So that's kind of where I come down to it. It's a hard fight for me to call. I don't hate people taking a dog shot now the line's blown up. It was minus 150, and I was like, maybe Ige's a spot there. It's now minus 200, Ige. Like, there's no way I'm playing that. The guy can be low volume. The guy has no grappling upside, no submission upside. It's not really intriguing to me at minus 200. I have to be clear, but I do think he can land a knockout. I do think he can land a knockdown. But I think it's dog or pass at the line, you know, and I wouldn't have said that 2 days ago, Clint. So it just shows you this is really about the odds. It's not really about the analysis too much. But I'm going to say at the line it's a dog or pass. But yeah, I can't give a confident prediction on this one.
Okay. And now, just since we touched on the stats, James, I just want to point out here the losses for Dan Ige in his last 8 to 10 fights or so. Remember what I said about Pitbull being a little too old and a little too worn to actually shoot and chain takedowns? Movsar Evloev, 9 takedowns. Bryce Mitchell, 5 takedowns. Lerone Murphy, 3 takedowns. The guys who are beating him, yeah, they're all wrestling him. Diego Lopez is the only one that got 1 takedown in that run. Those are his last 5 losses that he's had. Diego managed to only hit 1 takedown and still win the fight. But like we said, Dan Ige almost killed him in the third round. So yeah, I think there's a pattern here. And if I'm not trusting Pitbull to have the cardio to go out there and regularly shoot takedowns and get them on Dan Ige, that's just one more feather in the cap that I think Dan Ige is going to have the striking advantage, the power edge, and might even finish the guy. You never know.
Yeah.
All right. We're getting to the nitty gritty here, guys. We've got over almost 900 live viewers across all platforms, guys. Almost 900. So smash that like button, share the show. Let's break 1,000 here for UFC 318. I'm joined by my guy, Lucrative MMA James himself. The man is a monster. So make sure you guys are supporting and following him as well if you haven't. And get subscribed to the channel already. Why don't you? Next up, you've got Kevin Trailblazer Holland taking on Daniel D-Rod Rodriguez. And James, this whole fight comes down to one thing for me and one thing only. It's happening at 170. That's all you need to know. That's the end of the breakdown. Kevin Holland at 170 pounds. He has to be motivated. He has to have his shit together. And then he can make weight. And when he does that, he is a monster. He has physical gifts at 170 pounds that make him a cheat code. He is a BJJ black belt. Yeah, he's not the greatest wrestler in the world, but when he hits sweeps and transitions, and when he wants to get up, these guys at 170 pounds, they can't handle him. At 185, he's undersized, he's weak, he's soft at that weight class. But at 170, it is not the same story, and he is streaking right now. He just took out Gunnar Nelson. He just took out Vicente Luque. He's got a speed advantage over most of these guys. He's got a reach advantage on everybody. His power at 170 is something else. People go flying across the cage when he tags them. You've always got to play inside the distance when Kevin Holland instead of picking sub or knockout, because he regularly club and subs people. He hits those Darce chokes because that's his go-to move, and when people shoot in after getting hurt, that's really what he likes to do. I mean, at 170, it's only Kevin Holland for me, unless he's fighting like a title contender or a monster grappler, and that ain't D-Rod, man. Daniel Rodriguez, 19-5, 38 years old. I got to give credit where he's due. He's got an underrated squeeze. Like, when this guy really wants to get in there and grapple, James, he's better than people, I think, realize when it comes to his ground game. His last couple of wins, Alex Morono via split, Santiago Ponzinibbio, he got him late in that fight. That's the old Uno reverse card. I actually thought Santiago Ponzinibbio was going to be the one that got Daniel Rodriguez late in that fight, but this will be one of the rare times where D-Rod actually is at a height and reach disadvantage. You know what happened the last time he dealt with somebody that was taller and longer than him, James? Ian Machado Gary knocked his ass out. What about the time before that? Neil Magny submitted him. Bro, Neil Magny doesn't know how to grapple. Being submitted by Neil Magny is a black mark on your record for the rest of your life. Okay, that's not a good look. Everybody takes down and submits Neil Magny. So him choking you out really is a bad look. If Ian Machado Gary, who decisions everybody, knocks you out, and then Neil Magny, who decisions everybody, submits you, it's a bad look, man. Kevin Holland is a perfect blend of those two guys, and I think this price tag is justified, James. You've got Kevin Holland as a minus 400 favorite right now. I am honestly surprised because a little bit of money looks like it came in on D-Rod, and frankly, I can't understand it. So I need you to tell me what I'm missing, if anything, James, because I think this is a Holland smash type of situation.
Yeah, I don't think you're missing anything, bro. Holland is a great fighter at 170. At 185, he's not really it, especially when he fights these grapplers, you know. We saw what happened in his second to last fight when he fought a grappler at 170. He won the fight, almost knocked him out in round one. I love Kevin Holland, one of my favorite fighters ever. He may be my most profitable fighter of all time. I had a max bet on him in his last fight against Vicente Luque, and I also bet him to win via submission in that fight. And I feel like this fight, he's going to win again inside the distance, but I'm predicting the KO this time. So we're going from the submission, we're moving to the KO, and I think he's going to knock out Daniel Rodriguez. You know, I also had a massive bet on Daniel Rodriguez last time in his fight, and inside the distance at big odds. He was the underdog, and the inside the distance was obviously massive since he was the underdog. So, you know, both these guys have been good to me lately. Kevin Holland's been good to me his entire career. And yeah, I've got nothing more to add to what you said. It was a great breakdown, Clint, and I agree wholeheartedly with basically everything you said. Kevin Holland's going to be too sharp on the feet, too young, too fast, too much in his prime compared to D-Rod. And I think he's going to snipe him on the feet, man. And he could submit him as well. I think he's the better fighter in every realm of the fight, bar nothing. I honestly think he's better at everything.
Okay, James, that is all the reinforcement that I needed, because honestly, like, I really felt like I was totally whiffing on something when I saw that number tick down from -400 to -395. I went, what the fuck was that? Like, you know what I mean? Who's out there seeing something that I'm missing? Because I think Kevin Holland has got this guy's number literally everywhere. And we completely agree on the KO. You know, Kevin Holland is a guy that likes to go out there and play with his food. He likes to show out when he's got the opportunity to. And when he can talk with his hands, he does. That's his preferred way to win, actually, in my opinion, is the knockout. If he has to take a sub, if it's there, he will take it, but he wants the KO. So I'm with you. I think it's a knockout, and I love Kevin Holland. Honestly, James, it's anchor time, baby. It's anchor season. We're weighing anchor on Kevin Holland. He is going to get us back in the black, baby. This is the week we're going to go nuts, and Kevin Holland is going to take us to the land of glory, man. That's what's happening this week, y'all. UFC 318, anchor season is back. Let's go.
Clint. You can't say anchor with me live on the podcast and I not say anything. You know what I mean? I can't hold my tongue on the anchor. You know, I don't like the strategy of the anchor, my brother, but you're going to do you, and I respect it. But, you know, I'm always going to dissuade the anchor. I'm just going to say smash Kevin Holland. You know, like, if you love him that much, just smash him inside the distance. Don't risk all these other bets on him. You know what I mean? But you're going to do you, my brother, and I respect it regardless.
Hey, it's a fun way to play the game, James. Live and die by the sword, my friend. So if you guys don't know me, the anchor parlay system, like James is warning you, is the worst way to possibly go about gambling. But the idea is I'm using Kevin Holland to bring down the numbers on the other plays that I like. I pretend like Kevin Holland doesn't exist, because if he wins, it's just going to make the other numbers look better. For example, a 2-leg parlay of Kevin Holland and Jimmy the Brute Crute comes out to -133. That sounds a whole hell of a lot better to me than laying -250 on Jim Crute. So as long as Kevin Holland does his job, I got a much better number on Jimmy Crute than I would otherwise have. So essentially, I do 2-leg parlays on everything that I like. Kevin Holland, we pretend like he doesn't matter. He gets his hand raised, and then everything else is gravy for the rest of the night. It is an all or nothing strategy. It is a win or go home in a big way strategy. The parlay has to hit. The anchor has to come home. I am 8-1 in my parlay legs. So that's the thing. It is a rare strategy. It's something that I wait for my moment. It is something where I wait for a guy I am ultra confident in. I said last week that I might parlay Chris Curtis, and then I said, you know what? This fight could be a little too close. So I didn't anchor him. I had one parlay leg with him, and it did end up cashing, but it went to a split decision. I'm fully expecting Kevin Holland to dominate this fight. So yeah, it's a bit crazy. I don't suggest anybody do it. I'm never telling anybody to tail me. I'm just letting you guys know what I'm going to do on Saturday. So let's go, Kevin Holland.
Let's go. And, you know, I like the inside the distance props as well. Maybe like the KO or something like that. So we can bring the number down even more and get a plus money on someone who's -450. I'd take it.
That's a great way to look at it as well. Hey, shout out, Brian. Appreciate you, buddy. Clint, you're one of the best in the business breaking it down. Sometimes the bets don't go your way, but the knowledge in your sport keeps you around as long as you want. Appreciate you very, very much. Cameron Junkin says, you sick son of a bitch. I'm in. That's what's up. All right. Yeah, VB saying, DJin in loves me. Anchors. Dairy Rod is cooked. Let's get it. All right, guys. Next up, Paulo Costa comes back, and he's taking on Roman Kopylov. What a weird fight this one is, James. This one is crazy, man. So I'll be honest with you guys. Paulo Costa is a guy that I caught on a long time ago that he was not as advertised. Those beach body muscles that he's got going on, this guy is not a title challenger. This guy is not a top 5 guy. Like he never has been. He is very entertaining. He is very fun. And don't get me wrong, he is skilled, but he's not a gold wrapped around your waist type of guy. The UFC tried to frame him as such, and Israel Adesanya dry humped him in front of the nation, you know, the night that they gave that a shot. So he's just not that guy. 14-4. 34 years old. So now he's getting a little long in the tooth. Now those muscles are going to start costing some oxygen he may not have access to. And he hasn't fought since he dropped the split decision to Sean Strickland back in June 2024. He's on a 2-fight skid. He is 1-3 in his last 4. He is 1-4 in his last 5. Guys, his only win came over Luke Rockhold. And that was the one That was the one, James, where I was like, look, if you're going to beat anybody, if you're going to be able to claim the secret juice does its job and you actually have knockout power and hands, Luke Rockhold, chinny ass, retired, bare knuckle FC karate combat Luke Rockhold, that's the guy you're going to be able to knock out. But what happened? They gave us a fight of the night where Luke Rockhold was bleeding on Paulo Costa's face. I mean, it looked like they were having a true moment in the cage that night. He couldn't even get the old man out of there. So yeah, Paulo Costa, not as advertised and hasn't even been the same since he lost to Israel Adesanya. Roman Kopylov, this guy, successful kickboxer turned MMA fighter. 34 years old, took him a little bit to get going, but now he's here and he's on a bit of a tear, man. You know, when he first got to the UFC, he was getting taken down and just rinsed by everybody. Carl Roberson, who got this guy out of there via submission, right? Like, it took him a little while to get rolling, but once he got started, he was undeniable. He's knocking everybody out that they put in front of him. Now, granted, he was fighting a relatively low level of competition. I thought he lost the Cesar Almeida fight, or at least there's an argument that Cesar Almeida could have won that fight. He's still not ready for somebody like Fluffy Hernandez, but the head kick knockout of Chris Curtis, very last second, very end of their fight, kept it from going to the judges' scorecards. But who knocks out Chris Curtis, guys? Like, nobody. His kicking game is phenomenal. This guy's got serious power in those legs, and he does very well at range. He keeps the space very well. I like Roman Kopylov. I really, really do. The thing is, this is kind of like a rising action versus falling action spot where both guys are 34 years old. Roman Kopylov is the more technical kicker. I worry about the ankles and calves of Paulo Costa for sure. But if Paulo can get in there and put his volume to work, like, I think he can volume up a guy like Roman Kopylov. And frankly, I think Paulo Costa could get in there and grapple Roman Kopylov. We have seen that still be a bit of a problem for him. Again, Paulo doesn't have fluffy levels of cardio, but he is a BJJ black belt, and he can get in there and kind of muscle people around. He was able to take down a guy like Luke Rockhold. I could see Paulo Costa having some maybe underrated grappling success in this fight, James. The only thing is, Paulo Costa is the number range where you want him to be, in my opinion, for this fight. You don't lay chalk on the guy. Hell, you don't even lay pick 'em with the guy. But if you're giving me plus money, I've got to look at the Paulo Costa side of things. This is not a fight that I'm comfortable with a long layoff with Paulo. Who knows what the hell he's been out there doing? I don't know what he's going to look like on fight night. I know Roman Kopylov is locked the fuck in. This guy is dialed up and he is ready to go every single fight. So, you're getting your best effort from one guy. The other guy might get on, a Zoom call and tell you we got to move the fight to 205 pounds 2 days out. So, like, you just don't know what you're getting with Paulo Costa. And because of that, I can't trust the guy with my money. I'm going to say Roman Kopylov for the win, but I also just want to preface this where I need a vibe check on this one, you guys. Like, I want to watch the weigh-ins. I want to watch the face-offs. I want to see how these guys size up with each other. Hell, I'm going to go listen to some Paulo Costa interviews, which is something I never do. But like, I want to know what's going on with the guy, because I wouldn't be shocked if he actually came out, gave his best effort, and made this a fight. You know what I mean, James?
Yeah, I definitely know what you mean, man. I mean, even in his previous fights, like the Robert Whittaker one, he's still swinging, bro. Like, he's still swinging him around threes. He's clinched big knees to the body. He's walking forward. But Robert Whittaker just has a bad style for him because he's very, very hard to corral against the cage and land big shots, which is obviously what Costa likes to do. Now, the issue with this fight is, do we trust Costa to push the game plan needed to beat Roman Kopylov? Because Roman Kopylov, I don't think he's the best fighter of all time. I think he's kind of bad on the ground. I think you can grapple him. And I think Costa could come out here and shoot a couple of takedowns like he has done in some of his fights, get on top of him and smash him. I also think he can walk down late. I think he's got much better cardio than Roman Kopylov. The issue is Roman Kopylov is a much better striker, at least early. He's going to be landing to all levels. He's going to be head kicking him. He's going to be spinning back fist. He's going to be jabbing. He's got very fast hands. The guy throws like 8-punch combinations with the hand, just straight. So I don't know. It's a weird one for me, Clint. Again, it's like back-to-back fights. I don't know how they're going to play out. I really want to believe in Costa. I really think he could do it. But what I don't mind is the under 2.5 rounds, or the fight doesn't go to a decision here. Obviously, everyone thinks it's going to be a Kopylov decision. Costa's too tough, but Kopylov's better. But I see both fighters having a path to victory. I see Kopylov having a path to victory with just a diversity of strikes. Costa's already been finished in the UFC by Israel Adesanya, and it wasn't like he got Like it wasn't some crazy, you know, finish where he got insane flying knee to the head. It was like he got beat down. You know, he got beat down over 2 rounds. He got his leg kicked so badly that he couldn't really walk that much anymore. And then, you know, he got caught with a hook in close. So I've seen him be finished before. He can be finished. He's losing against Marvin, Vettori, Robert Whittaker, and Sean Strickland. And I don't really think those guys are finishers massively, to be honest. And so Kopylov could finish him here. You know, I could see it. I also could see Kopylov gassing out and get finished late. So maybe I don't pick a side, even though I want to lean a little bit to Costa, because I think both fighters can finish. But it's a tough one for me, Clint. Like, I know Costa can win the fight if he comes in with the right game plan, if he grapples a little bit. I know that there's a chance he can win this fight. But can you trust him in the year of 2025? The career trajectory is heavily on the side of Roman Kopylov here. And it could just be another frustrating bet where Costa maybe has a big moment, but then he doesn't push it. If Costa goes back to his old self and lands body shots, walks into the fire, takes damage, if he goes back to his pre-Adesanya version, he can win this
Romero fight.
Yeah, the Yoel Romero fight, the Johnny Hendricks fight, the Olu Bambose fight. You know, if he goes into that mode, the Marauder mode, before Izzy kind of took his soul, then he can honestly win this fight. You know, even the, you know, the Marvin Vettori mode, you know, they kind of swung there a little bit. The Luke Rockhold one was strange because it was in Salt Lake City, which is in elevation, right? So I give him a little bit of pass because he gassed out there. They both gassed out. So outside of that, though, he's shown very good cardio. I think he's got a path to victory here. It's just, how can you trust him in 2025? So, yeah, I'll pick Kopylov to win inside the distance. I don't mind the under or something. I might just pass completely, but yeah, that's my breakdown of the fight.
I'm with you, man. I do think that this is probably a really good fight to pass on. One thing I don't look at very often, you guys, I need to kind of exercise this in my repertoire a little bit more, is books are offering like takedown props these days and stuff like that. Man, I might look at Costa takedown props this week. Like, if we can maybe think, hey, we know the game plan, buddy, just do your homework. He might be able to hit a couple takedowns, and because he never does that, you might get a decent price on it. So just a shout out, if we're looking for crazy numbers, Paulo Costa takedown props, something to keep your eye out for this week. All right, guys, it is main event time. The BMF belt, the retirement fight for Dustin Poirier. This is it. Like, here we go. Max Holloway, Dustin the Diamond Poirier, the trilogy match, the retirement fight. It's all on the line. And I cannot wait, man. What is there to say about these guys? Like, it's real hard, James, when we get to the main event on a card like this, to try and tell people something they don't know. Like, we've watched Max Holloway and Dustin Poirier fight for decades. These guys are absolute legends in the sport. They've got every skill set you could possibly imagine, and we've seen them time and time again in these big moments. So I can't tell you guys anything that you don't already know. You know, Max Holloway coming off of that massive loss to Ilia Topuria. Funny that he said Ilia hits harder than Gaethje hits harder than Ilia Topuria does, when he flatlined Justin Gaethje in round 5 after taking his best shot for 25 minutes, and then he doesn't remember the fight with Ilia. but sure, Justin Gaethje's the one that hits harder. Sure, Max. He had a 3-fight win streak cracked by Ilia, who's gone on to take the title in his second weight class. Max really seems to have kind of turned a new leaf in his last couple of fights. I feel like, man, before the Ilia Topuria fight, it almost seems like he's kind of broadening his skill set a little bit. You know, he's always been kind of the nastiest boxer in MMA, just pure volume, just walks people down, stays in the pocket, peppers you with stuff, literally teaching people how to box mid-fight. Like, you know, Yair Rodriguez and Brian Ortega, he hit him with that back in the day. He just beats people up. But it seems like he's been kind of mixing the game up a little bit here. He's going to the grappling a little bit more. He's shooting takedowns and hitting calf kicks. And he's getting more creative in his old age. It's like we've seen him enough, and somehow he's still showing people a bit of a new wrinkle, which, you know, is surprising. And you like to see it, you know, with a guy who's been around as long as he has. Dustin Poirier, 36 years old, like we talked about, this is his retirement fight. You know, I mentioned it with Lauren Murphy last week that there's certain people that, you know, I'm always going to bet against you if it's your retirement fight, James. That's kind of that's it. Like, if you've got one foot in the grave, you're dead to me already. That's how I think about it. However, there's a chosen few, just a couple people that I think will absolutely give their best effort in their retirement fight. They want to go out for themselves. They want to go out on a win. They want to go out on top. They'll give it their all. Lauren Murphy was one of those people. I should have bet the +3.5 spread last week, James. I called that fight perfectly. She gave it her all. She gave it her best. She didn't quite get her hand raised, but she damn sure won a round, and it was plus money. I should have done it. Dustin Poirier, he's another one like that to me. I'm not worried about Dustin coming in here and laying an egg. I'm not worried about Dustin coming in here and caving and being like, you know what? It's all over after this. I'm good. This guy is a man who's got honor. He's fighting for legacy. You know, he wants to go in there and put his best foot forward, and he damn sure has never had an off day in his life. He works as hard as anybody, harder than most. I expect Dustin Poirier to come in and put everything he's got into this last fight with Max Holloway. So if you guys want to bet Dustin this week, I'm not going to tell you not to, even though it is known that it's his retirement fight coming in the door. What this comes down to me, though, is just kind of, recent form. The Benoit Saint-Denis fight, I feel like, was more what Benoit Saint-Denis did wrong than what Dustin Poirier did right. Michael Chandler, not even really part of the title picture these days. So his losses to Charles Oliveira, Gaethje, Islam, those are the GOATs. But Max Holloway seems like he's got more gas in the tank. Yes, he got knocked out by Ilya, but he went to war with Justin Gaethje, made him look foolish, made him look like he was at a big skill deficit, knocked him out in the 5th round. Went to war with Volkanovski. Yeah, he lost the decision there, but he's not getting iced, right? His only loss is 3 in a row to Volkanovski. And then he got cracked by Ilia Topuria, who belongs a weight class or 2 above. I kind of feel like the volume and the speed and the skill of Max Holloway makes the difference here in this fight. No two fights are alike. We talked about that already, James, and I know Dustin Poirier won the last one and kind of taught Max a lesson. Max, it seems like, has transitioned to being a 155er a little bit the last couple of years, so I don't know that the power is going to be as prominent. He'll know what to expect. He'll have studied his opponent this time. I kind of feel like rematch edge goes to Max Holloway, who's got just a little bit more left to give in this sport. But I honestly kind of don't mind an under in this fight. Both guys have been cracked lately. Both guys have been finished lately. Both guys only know one thing, and that's war. And Dustin Poirier is a guy, actually, who we've seen get out-scrambled, out-hustled, taken down a couple times, and he regularly gives up his back. He likes to jump guillotine and end up in these transitions and these scrambles. Max Holloway is an extremely underrated grappler, man. I think there'd be like an outside long shot at Max Holloway by sub. I wouldn't be surprised one bit if Max gets the back and sinks in a rear naked choke in this spot. Guys, this is one where I don't have enough of an edge to want to put my money on it. I think I'm going to pick Max Holloway to win this fight, James. I lean towards an under. I lean towards violence. Max Holloway sub sprinkle maybe. But this is one where legitimately I don't need to gamble on, and I don't have enough of an edge to feel like I need to put my money on the line for it. I can just sit back and watch this one, James. Max for me, but I'm very curious to hear what you've got to say.
Yeah, what a great fight. What a great fight. You mentioned Max submission. Well, he locked one in their last fight. He locked a Dash choke in. I believe it was the end of round 3 or the end of round 4.
He's been looking for them more lately.
Yeah. He's even practicing some Dash drills. If you go back and watch his recent vlogs on his YouTube channel, he's practicing Dash drills. So, yeah, that'll be interesting to see if he can lock one in again, just like he did in the first fight. And the bell went, right, for the end of round 4, so he couldn't finish it. Also, Dustin looked very strong in that turtle position. I don't even know if he could have finished it if he tried. And that's something I want to speak about. Dustin looked strong in that fight, right? Dustin looked like the bigger man. He looked like the true 155er. I think Max is bigger these days. I mean, he's 5 years on. He should be bigger, right? I think Max is looking bigger these days. I think he's looking stronger these days. I think he's looking a little bit more muscly. When I watched the Gaethje fight and when I watched the Dustin Poirier fight, Max has put on a little bit more meat on his back. Pause. He's put a little bit more muscle on his back. He's looking a bit bigger. So I think that's good for him here. He also has changed his style up quite heavily. And a lot of people won't realize it, right? Because it's like minor differences, but a lot of them. That's why I say heavily. And you mentioned it. So that's a great point from you. I think his striking style has evolved. If you go back and watch the Volkanovski second fight, He was showing more diverse attacks in that fight. And then you watch the Calvin Kattar fight. He was showing heavily more diverse attacks in that fight. That was 2 and 3 fights removed from the Dustin Poirier fight, right? Then you go back and watch fights with Yair Rodriguez. He's getting takedowns, which is a new groove to his game as well to some degree. And then you go back and watch his fight against Justin Gaethje. He's a lot more technical, fighting on the outside. Again, a little bit more grooves to his game. So even in the Chan Sung Yil fight, he's moving a little bit differently. So I don't think it's just going to be the same fight as we saw in the second fight, which, by the way, was one of the best fights I've ever seen. It was such an amazing fight. So I'm so happy we're getting it again now. And I may have a hot take, but Clint, Max Holloway had an argument to win that fight against Dustin Poirier in the second fight. He could have got his hand raised by the judges there. He may have won the fight. Now, I think Dustin Poirier had more of a clear shout to win the fight because he won round 1 very clearly. And round 2 was very clear as well. So the first 2 rounds were clear Dustin rounds. The third round was a clear Max round. So it was 2-1 going into the championship rounds. Round 4 and round 5 can conceivably scored for Max Holloway. They were very close rounds, I'll say that. And it's completely fine if you edge Dustin. But I also think you can edge Max. Now, for Max to get the scorecard, you would have to give him both 50-50 rounds, which is tough to do. Dustin had 2 clear rounds. Max only had 1. But I think he could have got the decision. You know, it was a very close fight. Max was pouring crazy pressure on him. He volumed him in every single round except for the first round. And that's just because Dustin blew his load because he literally almost knocked Max out about 4 times in round 1. So he just unloaded so many shots, right? So I think the way people see the second fight is a little bit wrong, you know. Maybe they haven't gone back and watched it. But that shit was almost a 50-50 fight if I've ever seen one. And Dustin Poirier's power won him the fight. Because every time Max would start to pour it on, and he poured it on a lot, Dustin was looking gassed from round 3, which was Max's clearest round, unarguable for Dustin. He was looking gassed. And let me tell you something now. The round 4 was only scored for Dustin because he landed, I think it was a knee, and he split his nose open. Crazy amount of blood. But before that, he was getting teed off on. He was getting beat up along the fence. He was looking very tired. Max was going to work on him. At one point, I thought Max might start to pour it on for a finish. Then he lands, you know, Dustin is a dog, man. So he's got great cardio, even though he's looking gassed as fuck. He's still throwing big shots, and Max couldn't take the shots there. I feel like at 155 this time around, he's a little bit bigger. He's fought there twice now. That was his 155 debut. That was his 155 debut.
And he was notably slimmer.
He was notably slimmer. He fought Dustin Poirier in his UFC debut at 145, and he fought him at his 155 debut, right? It's not his debut anymore. This is going to be his third fight at 155, and I think we're going to see that in the fight. Now, look, man, Dustin can obviously win this fight. This isn't a lock, but I do believe that Max Holloway is going to come out victorious here. I think that he's the better striker. I really do. I think his skill set is deeper. I think his eyes are on the similar level. And I just believe that his weapons are more diverse than Dustin Poirier. And if he can avoid the boxing combinations and the heavy shots, and if he can hurt Dustin in return, which is something that people might not believe is possible, but being up at 155 now, he's got more diversity of strikes. Like he hurt Justin Gaethje with the spinning kicks, right? And the knees and stuff. Maybe that he lands one on Dustin Poirier here. I feel like Max is going to win the fight. And that's going to be my prediction. And I don't know whether it's going to be a submission, a KO, a decision. Dustin it's
going to be the sub.
Yeah, the sub. Okay, the sub. I mean, I called it on my video a few days ago, bro. I called it, and people were going crazy in the comments. But I don't think it's that crazy, especially if Dustin starts getting tired. Clint, Dustin shot 8 takedowns in the last fight. 8 takedowns against Max Holloway. Dustin doesn't shoot takedowns for the most part. This guy's striking. There's a reason why he shot takedowns. He felt uncomfortable on the feet with Max making his debut at 155, and he had the power to bail him out, right? And he had the grappling to bail him out because he would clinch Max when he couldn't take him down, and he still got put in a DAS. So anyway, that's my prediction for the fight. But like, I can go on for years about this fight. I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to say, well, I kind of already have done, but I'm just going to say that Max Holloway is going to come out victorious in this one.
All right, James, you might have just pushed me over the edge, man. I might have to get in there with you here on that one. So on tonight's show, we have called Jimmy Crute Kimura, Ryan Spann, Guillotine, And now we're going to wrap this all up with Max Holloway Darce in your main event. Folks, that was about as good of a card as you guys are going to get for us chatting. We've got 950 live viewers right now, almost 3 hours worth of content. One of the best gamblers in the game and the biggest degenerate on the internet. So let's freaking go. Hit that like button, please, if you haven't. Subscribe to the show and make sure you're also following my man James for his content, because he is one of the sharpest guys in the game. You can find his Twitter link in the description below on this video. James, my friend, thank you again very, very much. And if there's anything else you've got going on this week, other content, your channel, your shows, sponsors, whatever you've got, the floor is yours, my friend. Feel free to let them know.
Yeah, first of all, Clinton, thanks for having me on. And I want to say to everybody in the chat, shout out to you guys. Love each and every one of you. Make sure you go and follow Clint. He's got his own YouTube channel now. That's where he's doing the videos. So you may have followed some of his other sponsors in the past, but maybe you're not following his actual YouTube channel. So the Die Hard MMA podcast, make sure you go and follow that. Clint, one of the best guys in the game. A lot of love and respect for him. So again, thank you for bringing me on, brother. Talking about other content, I already have my breakdown video out, which went out a couple of days ago. Then the bookies deleted it from YouTube. They shut us down. So then I had to re-upload it, and it's up there again. I also have my podcast dropping today, where it's like a fun MMA podcast. I don't know if you've seen it. It's called the Fat Lucrative MMA Podcast. We basically talk a bunch of shit. So that's going to be dropping in about 30 minutes. So if anyone's around, you can go and watch it on my YouTube channel. But that's it, man. Hopefully we're going to cash this weekend, Clint. Like I said, last time we did a podcast was massive money for both of us. So I'm hoping that we keep that streak going on. Another massive money for both of us. And then we go on a massive hot streak for the second half of the year. We both earn another 100 units. And then it's a fantastic year for both of us. I believe we both can do it. And it's going to start with Max Holloway getting a Darce choke, Kevin Holland knocking that motherfucker out and not sinking the anchor. The anchor's going to float, go all the way up to money heaven. And that's all I got to say, boys. Shout out to the chat one more time. Let's cash this weekend. Love you all.
That is what is up. Thank you again very much, my friend. And oh God, oh no, James, we got Conor McGregor in the chat with the eggplant emoji. Make sure y'all get out there and lift those weights. Appreciate you all being here very, very much. It's pay-per-view fight week, so we've got the total takedown. We've got Clint's hot props. We've got the sharp action report. And of course, we break out the tinfoil cap for the undefeated post-weigh-in show later on this week. Tons of MMA content and action on this channel for you guys. Make sure you guys are supporting James. Make sure you're getting subscribed. Thank you all for being here. Once the stream ends, let me know your favorite play for UFC 318. And I'm going to go eat some dinner. I'm going to go spend some time with the girls, and I'm going to go get that barking dog to sit down, get him some dinner because he's hungry too. Appreciate you guys one more time. Love you. Peace. Make some money. Let's roll.